Hare Krishna, welcome to this episode of Chaitanya Charitamrita. Today we will be studying how Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami received the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the Vaishnavas, and um, the prevailing theme is about the real versus pseudo Vaishnava. Right, we will say our Mangalachan prayers and dive straight into it. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So, we will be continuing from where we left off quite some time ago, a few months ago actually, and we'll be studying from Madhya Lila of Chaitanya Charitamrita, chapter 1, text 219 onwards. Nityananda Haridasa Srivas Gadadhar Mukunda Jagadananda Murari Vakreshwar. All the Vaishnava associates of the Lord were present, including Nityananda Prabhu, Haridas Thakur, Srivas Thakur, Gadadhar Pandit, Mukunda, Jagadananda, Murari, and Vakreshwar. So this is where were they present during the initiation of Rupa and Sanatana Goswami. The Lord just initiated the previous verse. The Lord initiated, actually not the previous verse, 208th verse of this chapter. The Lord initiated Dabir Khas and Sakar Malik as Rupa and Sanatana Goswamis. Now, in that incident, so especially in the verse prior to this, Prabhupada explains very nicely that a real Vaishnava becomes happy when another Vaishnava receives the favor of the Lord. He does not become envious. But a person who is in the dress of a Vaishnava only, but is not a Vaishnava by character, will be revealed when he shows enviousness towards another Vaishnava who is actually successful and receive the mercy of the Lord. Now we just will look at that part of that purport. Actually, the whole purport is of this. We will just read the whole purport again for context. When all of the devotees saw the mercy of the Lord upon the two brothers, they were very much gladdened, and they began to chant the holy name of the Lord, Hari Hari. Purport. Srila Narottam Das Thakur says, Chhadiya Vaishnav Sevan Nistar Peche Keba. Unless one serves the Vaishnava, he cannot be delivered. The spiritual master initiates the disciple to deliver him, and if the disciple executes the order of the spiritual master and does not offend other Vaishnavas, his path is clear. Consequently, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu requested all the Vaishnavas present to show mercy toward the two brothers, Rupa and Sanatana, who had just been initiated by the Lord. Uh, we had an incident many years ago, at least like 12, 13 years ago, maybe, in which one Mataji was supposed to get initiated. And we thought, we means the temple management, especially the president, Sundar Gopal Prabhu, he thought she was qualified and she has been serving well in the temple, and he wanted to give her initiation on behalf of Srila Prabhupada. We had two Matajis especially, who was so much against the idea that she should get initiated, because they thought, because they were cooking for the Lord in the temple every day and for the festivals and everything. And they were very good at it. And when they heard news that she was going to be initiated, they kind of boycotted the temple for a while and then created a huge ruckus. Basically, trying to influence Sundar Gopal Prabhu to trying to dissuade him from initiating her. So it did not work, and the reason why they were doing that was because they were the only people who used to cook for the Lord, and in that way they tried to have some control in the management, because their husbands were also in the management of the temple, and if they were the only ones, then they can pull the strings. If they boycott, oh, we will want to get them back because they're the only ones, we have no one else, so we will pacify them and bring them back. And if we want to pacify them, then they want their agenda to be in place. So it was a very dirty political game that they were playing. And in fact, Sundar Gopal Prabhu even told them, see, if you have this Mataji get initiated, then eventually she will be also helping you in the kitchen. You're growing old and you will need help. How long are you going to do it all alone? Try to reason out with them. Did not really work, but he gave the initiation anyway. And eventually they made up with her, and that Mataji also was doing well, and eventually it kind of worked, but there was a lot of cold shouldering and cold treatment for at least a couple of years. But even after that, it was always a tense relationship. But what I'm trying to say is, I have seen incidences and even other incidences where Vaishnavas are so-called Vaishnavas. Dress-wise, they look like Vaishnavas, but they're envious. And Prabhupada is mentioning this in the purport. Actually who he was referring to? His own god brothers. He went to America, became successful, and also that before that, there were so many attempts that Srila Prabhupada made to include the Gaudiya Math, his god brothers in Gaudiya Math, to come with him, and together we will go to America and try to start this. Nobody was willing. In fact, just less than a month ago, I heard one devotee who told me. Now I cannot vouch for this on 100%, but this is what I heard, and I'm sure it can be. I'm almost sure that this must be a true account. Apparently, when he was in Vrindavan, staying in Radha Damodar Mandir, just think about that. There were temples of Gaudiya Math, in different parts of India. 64 temples were there, and Prabhupada could have stayed in any one of them. but he was staying in Radha Damodar temple or Goswami temple. That means there wasn't very good relationships with the Gaudiya Math, or rather, the Gaudiya Math devotees did not treat him very well. And in fact, so the story that I heard was, at one point he was so poor. Of course, he was a sannyasi and he was, getting contributions, and he was trying to publish his Back to Godhead magazine with great difficulty in Delhi, and he was commuting back and forth from Vrindavan to Delhi. And sometimes I went to actually ISKCON Chippivada in Delhi, in Chandni Chowk, where, at one point I read this part where he had to choose, Prabhupada had to choose between um, spending money to get more paper to print, or spend some of that money for transport. And Prabhupada chose to carry all that heavy paper for 1 hour, I think more than 1 hour, I think 2 or 3 hours by walk. He walked all that, at an advanced age, he was what, 60 over years old. And he was carrying all of this paper so that he can have more paper and he can save on the transport. And he walked about 1 or 2 hours or 3 hours or something. I forget the number of how many hours he walked. But it was a long distance, and he walked with all that weight at 60 something. So much he was struggling. And at one point, apparently, he asked the Gaudiya Math to at least give him 2 dhotis and, chadars and kurtas so that he can wear, because he did not have proper clothing. I think maybe the cloth is not so good or torn or what, I don't know. Gaudiya Math refused to give him even that. This was how they were treating him. Prabhupada at one time said, "My godbrothers gave me only depression, compression, and repression. But I stuck to the order of my spiritual master, and that's why I'm successful." So envious. They were like sannyasis. They're supposed to be so happy to have another sannyasi and, to actually work with him and go to the West and actually preach Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement. They were not interested. They were interested only in these politics and personal gains. And that's what he was alluding to in this purport when he wrote like this. So let's read on. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Consequently, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu requested all the Vaishnavas present to show mercy toward the two brothers, Rupa and Sanatana, who had just been initiated by the Lord. When a Vaishnava sees that another Vaishnava when a Vaishnava sees that another Vaishnava is a recipient of the Lord's mercy, he becomes very happy. Vaishnavas are not envious. If a Vaishnava, by the mercy of the Lord, is empowered by him to distribute the Lord's holy name all over the world, other Vaishnavas become very joyful. That is, if they are truly Vaishnavas. One who is envious of the success of a Vaishnava is certainly not a Vaishnava himself, but is an ordinary, mundane man. Envy and jealousy are manifested by mundane people, not by Vaishnavas. Why should a Vaishnava be envious of another Vaishnava who is successful in spreading the holy name of the Lord? He is alluding to himself here and the Gaudiya Math godbrothers of his. Of course, you may think that, he's being selfish in this purport, or he's talking about people being envious about him. Why should he worry about this? He should be worrying about this in executing order. See, don't try to find fault with Prabhupada, to whoever is thinking like that. The reason why he's stating this is to point out a very poignant aspect that we have to be careful about when we are becoming Vaishnavas. So from his own experiences, he is giving us that lesson, which ISKCON failed later on after Srila Prabhupada's physical disappearance. ISKCON failed in this very lesson. They became envious of their own guru and tried to occupy his post in the name of so-called serving Prabhupada. They are playing a game of subterfuge, a game of deception. So by saying that they are actually serving Prabhupada's instructions, and actually Prabhupada is initiating you, we are only doing it on behalf of Prabhupada. That's how the gurus do the talking when they initiate. But then they give the pranati mantra to the disciple, who will then chant Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate so and so iti namine. So when they're saying that, they're basically saying that, Vishnu Padaya means he's at the lotus feet of Vishnu. He has achieved the lotus feet of Vishnu. He is Krishna Preshthaya. He is extremely dear to Krishna. That means he's a pure devotee with a personal relationship with Krishna. But they're not there. If they are saying that we're only, we're initiating on behalf of Prabhupada, that is supposed to be rtvik. So the disciple should be chanting Prabhupada's pranati mantra. Why these persons' pranati mantra? It's cheating. It's subterfuge. It's a deceit. So that's what they're doing, and they're envious of those devotees who try to establish this rtvik system of Srila Prabhupada. Yeah, and then they accuse us. They accuse us of being envious of them who are the real Vaishnavas. Now we will come to that. Let's read this purport, because at the end, Prabhupada makes a very important point there. Okay, let's read on. Why should a Vaishnava be envious of another Vaishnava who is successful in spreading the holy name of the Lord? An actual Vaishnava is very pleased to accept another Vaishnava who is bestowing the Lord's mercy. A mundane person in the dress of a Vaishnava should not be respected but rejected. Because sometimes we think, what to do with this Vaishnava. Externally, we may still show some etiquette. Just like Srila Prabhupada, even after he became successful in the West and he had so many disciples, when he came back, he went to the Gaudiya Math, he went to his god brothers. They treated him like crap, but he went to them, and he tried to be friendly with them, and try to engage with them, and tried to kind of bring them into the at least now join up, because there is some success. It's not like whether we're going to do it or not, whether we're going to be successful or not. There is some success, so please join in. He was trying to kind of bring them in, but they chose to remain envious and not join him at all. In fact, they engaged in undermining his movement by reinitiating his disciples, which is very, very offensive. And eventually Prabhupada said, don't go. He asked his disciples not to even have any connection with this Gaudiya Math people. So, reading on, a mundane person in the dress of a Vaishnava should not be respected but rejected. This is enjoined in the Shastra, upeksha. The word upeksha means neglect. One should neglect an envious person. A preacher's duty is to love the Supreme Personality of Godhead, make friendships with Vaishnavas, show mercy to the innocent, and reject or neglect those who are envious or jealous. There are many jealous people in the dress of Vaishnavas in this Krishna consciousness movement. See this? There are many jealous people in the dress of Vaishnavas in this Krishna consciousness movement, and they should be completely rejected. There is no need to serve a jealous person who is in the dress of a Vaishnava. When Narottam Das Thakur, this is the most important point. This is very important. When Narottam Das Thakur says, Chhadiya Vaishnav Seva Nistar Peche Keba, that means nobody has ever become relieved from the material world without serving a Vaishnava. So when he said that, he is indicating an actual Vaishnava, not an envious or jealous person in the dress of a Vaishnava. So this is very important. They say that, we are doing Vaishnava aparadha by speaking about the ISKCON gurus in this way and the ISKCON devotees and the management in this way, or that they are disobeying Srila Prabhupada. But they have to be actual Vaishnavas in order to be offended, or for us to commit an offense. But if they are going to be Kalichelas, which they are, because they clearly disobeyed Srila Prabhupada, there's too much evidence. Just the other day, a few days ago, in ISKM Proddatur in India, in Andhra. So our devotees, the ISKCON devotees, came to our place and tried to engage in some debate regarding the rtvik system. And our devotees had the IA 77, Initiations After 1977 book of ours, where we compile Srila Prabhupada's evidence regarding the system of initiations where he is going to be the guru and the rtvik representatives have to initiate the new devotees on Prabhupada's behalf. In that way, the movement is safe. Everybody can have Srila Prabhupada as the guru, and that's Prabhupada's system. He was so merciful to extend his mercy in that way through the rtvik system. So that's the subject of the IA-77 book, and our devotees had that. You know what? The ISKCON devotees, the temple president, in fact, came with his material to kind of argue with us. He came with a printout in an A4 paper of the May 28th, 1977 conversation of Srila Prabhupada, and he highlighted that word, grand disciple. This is the argument they have. I mean, for those who are here who do not know the subject matter of this conversation or what I'm talking about, I would recommend that you read our IA-77. In fact, I don't know if it is on our website because our other website is down and we're trying to restore that. Maybe after this class we will put it in the comment section and the description of this video, that I'll just write it down so that I don't forget. Okay, so we will put that link down and please read it, and it is very important so that you don't get cheated in your life by accepting a false guru, a bogus guru. So, and many thousands and thousands and thousands of them were cheated in that way and they lost all faith. So we don't want anyone to be a victim of that. So please understand this yourself and make others understand as much as you can do so. Okay, so he's indicating an actual Vaishnava, not an envious or jealous person in the dress of a Vaishnava. So that's the background of today's verse, starting point, which is 1.219 of Madhya. Nityananda Haridas Shrivas Gadadhar Mukunda Jagadananda Murari Vakreshwar. All the Vaishnava associates of the Lord were present, including Nityananda Prabhu, Haridas Thakur, Srivas Thakur, Gadadhar Pandit, Mukunda, Jagadananda, Murari and Vakreshwar during the initiation of Rupa and Sanatana Goswamis. सबार चरणे धरे पड़े दुई भाई सबे बोले धन्य तुम्हें पाइले गोसाई. In accordance with the instructions of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the two brothers, Rupa and Sanatana, immediately touched the lotus feet of these Vaishnavas. So when the devotee becomes initiated, he should take the blessings of other Vaishnavas, who all became very happy and congratulated the two brothers for having received the mercy of the Lord. Purport. This behavior is indicative of real Vaishnavas. When they saw that Rupa and Sanatana were fortunate enough to receive the mercy of the Lord, they were so pleased that they all congratulated the two brothers. A jealous person in the dress of a Vaishnava is not at all happy to see the success of another Vaishnava in receiving the Lord's mercy. Unfortunately, in this age of Kali, there are many mundane persons in the dress of Vaishnavas, and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has described them as disciples of Kali. He says Kali Chela. Chela means servant, sycophant. He is a Kali Chela. He indicates that there is another Vaishnava, a Pseudo-Vaiṣṇavas, with tilak on his nose and kanthi beads around his neck. Such a Pseudo-Vaiṣṇava associates with money and women and is jealous of successful Vaishnavas. Although passing for a Vaishnava, his only business is earning money in the dress of a Vaishnava. Bhaktivinoda Thakur therefore says that such a Pseudo-Vaishnava is not a Vaishnava at all, but a disciple of Kali Yuga. A disciple of Kali cannot become an acarya by the decision of some high court. So this happened in Gaudiya Math. Somebody became an acharya by the decision of some high court. Mundane votes have no jurisdiction to elect a Vaishnava acharya. And, in ISKCON, they are doing this mundane voting system. Some bogus gurus, bogus nonsense so-called devotees in GBC who do not follow Srila Prabhupada. And we are saying they're clearly we are saying that they're bogus, and that's not Vaishnava aparadha, because they prove that they're Vaishnavas first of all. If they willingly and deliberately and elaborately and persistently disobey the instruction of Srila Prabhupada and cause others to disobey the instructions of Srila Prabhupada, I have no respect for them. No respect. They may have done so much service to Prabhupada when he was there, but now they're doing a huge disservice. Okay? Just because they did some service during his manifest presence doesn't mean that they hold the same position when they disobey. Asar. Immediately I become Asar if I disobey the order of the spiritual master. If I disregard the order of the spiritual master, immediately I become Asara. Why did Srila Prabhupada say that all his god brothers are useless? Why? They also were there so much with Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. They must have done so much service when Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was around. Why then Prabhupada condemned them? Because eventually they gave up everything. Prabhupada even said, you took sannyas to give up all the material mundane attractions and family life and everything. But now, so you have renounced all of that. But if you now renounce the order of the spiritual master, what kind of sannyasi are you? That is the one thing for which we should renounce everything else. But if we renounce that very thing, the order of the spiritual master, what kind of sannyasi? It's like Vantashi. He's taking his own vomit. So, and then rejecting what he actually should accept and accepting what he should actually reject. Because when I reject the order of the spiritual master, the only other thing I have is sense gratification in my mind. I want to become the acarya. I want to have the worship. I want to have pratishtha, labha, puja, kutinati. All these weeds of devotion will sprout and overpower the devotional creeper. So anyway, in ISKCON, they are doing this mundane voting system. So they pass a vote of no objection. So somebody wants to become a guru and he applies application form, guru application form. Okay, so then his sort of their conduct is seen and whether he's doing at least good in the last 5-10 years. Is he steady or is he sober or and many people actually miss the mark. I mean, there are so many gurus who have done absolutely rubbish things and they're still parading around as gurus. But and then every GBC member and I don't know, they have this committee. They pass. I mean, they vote. Okay, no objection, no objection. If he gets at least 2/3 vote of no objections by that committee, he is qualified to become a guru, even though the 1/3 reject. And he is qualified in the sense we are giving him no objection. But in the future, if something happens and he is known to have fallen down, that is not our problem, they are saying. I have actually shown all this in my series about the rtvik system, the 5-video series. You should watch that if you have not watched it yet. And you should really know these arguments. If we are interested to protect Srila Prabhupada's interest, we should be interested in these arguments. It's not about whether I'm convinced, oh no, I'm with ISKCON devotees, it's okay. I don't need to go too deep into this. I am satisfied with my association at ISKCON, so it doesn't really matter to me. No, it does. Because we are not going to be in the shell of ISKCON devotees. We have to deal with people who may be misled by other, this ISKCON. And we have to help them out by bringing this topic up and helping them see through this whole thing with evidence, unbiased evidence. And therefore we have to know. And sometimes we will be challenged by some of the ISKCON devotees. And if we just, don't challenge them, be nice to them, and don't say anything. I don't say anything, you don't say anything. Just be Hare Krishna, and then okay, that attitude will not help. In fact, that is violence. We should try to be as honest, even at the risk of being disliked by them. We have to be honest. That's honesty. Arjavam. Brahmanas, one of the qualities is Arjavam. If you are a devotee, Vaishnava is more than Brahmana. He should be truthful, he should be honest. Even at the risk of being disliked. But if he wants to be liked by people, then we are not giving a priority of being liked by Prabhupada. That should be our priority. We should please Yasya Prasadat Bhagavat Prasada. Not it is not that Loka Prasadat Bhagavat Prasada. Not that when the world is satisfied then Krishna is satisfied. No. Yasya Prasadat Bhagavat Prasado Yasya Aprasadan Nagate Kutopi Dhyayan Stuvamstasya Yashastri Sandhyam Vande Guru Sri Charanaravindam. Yasya means who. And finally in that line is Vande Guru. If the Guru is satisfied, then Krishna is satisfied. Not when, Loka Prasadat Bhagavat Prasada. No, Guru Prasadat Bhagavat Prasada. So, we have to defend Srila Prabhupada against these cheaters. Otherwise, we are not being a good disciple of, we are not being a proper disciple of Srila Prabhupada then. That is love. If I love Srila Prabhupada, I should be ready to fight for him. Otherwise, what kind of love that is? I don't love that otherwise. I'm okay with Prabhupada being disobeyed, Prabhupada being, belittled, Prabhupada being sidelined. I'm okay with that. Is that what I'm saying? That is exactly what I'm implying. Implicitly, by my behavior, that's what it means. And therefore, it is said, we'll go there and come back here. It is said, न सभां प्रविशेत् प्राज्ञः सभ्यदोषान् अनुस्मरन् अब्रुवन् विब्रुवन्नज्ञो नरः किल्बिषमश्नुते. A wise person should not enter an assembly if he knows the participants there are committing acts of impropriety. You see, a wise person should not enter an assembly if he knows the participants there are committing acts of impropriety. That means if they are not behaving in the right way, then we should not even enter such an assembly. And if having entered such an assembly, he fails to speak the truth, speaks falsely, or pleads ignorance, it means he acts as if, oh, I don't know about the issue, I'll be just nice to everyone except Prabhupada. He will certainly incur sin. So we have to be extremely careful about this. So, coming back, mundane votes have no jurisdiction to elect a Vaishnava Acharya. A Vaishnava Acharya is self-effulgent. I think I have to also put this link of that playlist of the series that I have just mentioned to rtvik. In the comment section and the description of this video. For those who haven't watched it yet, please watch it. I mean, we're doing all these series so that everyone will be educated. Please take advantage. A Vaishnava Acharya is self-effulgent and there is no need for any court judgment. Self-effulgent. A false Acharya may try to override a Vaishnava by a high court decision, but Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that he is nothing but a disciple of Kali Yuga. That song actually goes, Matha neda kapni pada tilak nake galay mala dekhte Vaishnaver mata asala shakta kajar vela sahaj bhajan korchena mamu sangeloye porer bala. He has all the symbolisms of a Vaishnava, the dress, the tilak, the kantimala, the japmala. It looks like a Vaishnava from the outside, but dekhte Vaishnaver mata looks like a Vaishnava, but asala Shakta kajar vela. He is not a Vaishnava, he is a Shakta. Shakta means worshipper of Durga or Kali. Why? Not Durga means material nature. That means if I worship the material nature means I'm basically wanting to enjoy my senses. I worship the material nature rather than Krishna. So that's a sense enjoyer basically. He's a sense enjoyer because Sahaja Bhajana Korchena Mamu. He looks like he's doing, a very great bhajan and, very great sadhana and everything. But Sangeloy Porer Bala. He has illicit connections with women. And not just women. Money, women, fame. And for this he will engage in any deceit, like in that argument with ISK and Proddatur. So one of the arguments that they mentioned was, oh, don't you think Radhanath is a pure devotee, Radhanath Swami? I don't know with which face they can say that. First of all, he is an active participant in the murder of Sulochana Prabhu, who was a Ritvik devotee. And he's a good friend of the person who murdered him, Tirtha Brahmachari, and the mastermind behind it, Kirtanananda Swami. You're an accomplice, that means. If I know that somebody is, has murdered another Vaishnava, this happened in 1986. That devotee was murdered, brutally murdered. And Kirtanananda was the mastermind in that. Tirtha Brahmachari, so-called Brahmachari, a gangster, he was the one who killed him. And Radhanath was so close to them. In fact, there have been accounts that he behind the scenes he participated in actually giving the money to that Tirtha Brahmachari, and he's a good friend. He went and visited him in the jail. Why do you have to visit anyone like that, who's such a horrible character, who murdered another Vaishnava? And why is he not interested in what that Sulochana Prabhu was bringing out? Why was he murdered? Because he was bringing out this nonsense of the ISKCON gurus. He was not interested. He himself became a guru. And all Radhanath Swami's properties are not ISKCON properties. He lives in Govardhaniko village, Chaupati temple, recently there is another temple. None of them are ISKCON properties. He has outside, but ISKCON doesn't say anything because they're afraid if a good big guru leaves like that, if you say anything he may leave, and if he leaves, it'll be a big dirty scene everywhere, everyone will criticize us, and therefore they're just being nice to him, but he's having a ride of his life. And his disciples are speaking absolute nonsense like Gaur Gopal Das, and he has zero control over his disciples to correct them, and in fact he's encouraging them. He himself speaks like that when he goes outside. All this is cheating, rubbish, nonsense. But they ask, oh, don't you think he's pure? Don't mention names. The moment they disobey Prabhupada's order, immediately they're not pure devotees. Immediately. No, they cannot even become pure devotees. Chhadya Vaishnav Seva Nistar Payachakeba. Without, nobody has become a pure devotee by offending and disobeying his guru. Nobody. So if you disobey, you are immediately not a pure devotee. No matter what. And we can see in the example of Saubhari Muni, who offended a Vaishnava and became attracted to women. But there's also another example of effect of Vaishnava aparadha, which is Chapal Gopal, who got disease and who was very painful bodily condition, and that is another effect of offense. In fact, I will take that out. And there is another as well, but we will go there. Let me just Adilila 17.54. After saying this, the Lord left to take his bath in the Ganga, and that sinful man did not give up his life but continued to suffer. Purport. It appears that an offender to a Vaishnava continues to suffer and does not give up his life. We have actually seen that a great Vaishnava aparadhi continuously suffered so much that it was difficult for him to move, and yet he did not die. This is, there is one person in ISKCON like that now. He has been suffering for so long, 15 years now, and he's still not dying, and then he's suffering, his body is like, and he was participant in this whole thing. So this is very, very serious business. Another effect of offending Vaishnava, in example of Saubhari Muni, he got attracted to women, and he actually had a comfortable material life for a long, long, long time. One may think that, oh, if he offended Vaishnava, why is he having such a comfortable life? Comfortable life is not the mercy of a Vaishnava. He was doing austerities underwater. From that, he became a sense enjoyer. So, effect of Vaishnava aparadha we can see in these examples come in different shapes and forms. The constant in all these things is that they are unable to serve the Lord. They are unable to serve the Lord. So I have only mentioned two examples, like Shaubhari Muni and this Chapal Gopal, or this. I think this is also Chapal Gopal story only. This thing. Now, third example is um, Ramachandra Puri, who was the disciple of Ishwar Puri. He is the god brother of Madhavendra. God brother of. Wait a second. Sorry, Ramachandra Puri is the disciple of Madhavendra Puri. So he is the god brother of Ishwar Puri. So Madhavendra Puri had, I think, I don't know how many disciples, but at least two, Ishwar Puri and Ramachandra Puri. Now, in the late stages of his life, Madhavendra Puri was in his ecstasy of Krishna consciousness, although his body was going to go, and he was even passing stool without, he has no control over his body. And Ishwar Puri was so humble, and he cleaned the stool of his spiritual master, he cleaned up and he took care of him so nicely. He was so humble. And for that, he was blessed by having Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as his disciple. On the other hand, Ramachandra Puri tried to preach to his guru when Madhavendra Puri was crying, "Oh Krishna, when can I see you? When can I?" In his ecstasy, in Vipralambha Bhava, in the mood of separation. Ramachandra Puri said, "No, you should not cry. This is the moment that we have to become one with the Lord. You are going to achieve Brahmananda." He was preaching impersonalism. This Madhavendra Puri chastised him. "Get out from here. Don't even come in front of me. I will go to hell if I see you." He asked him to get out. So he became an offender to his spiritual master. And what happened to him? He became a staunch Mayavadi. So impersonalism, talking something other than Krishna after being a devotee, these are all symptoms of departure from devotional service. So in all these examples, sometimes they get a lot of material enjoyment. Sometimes they get material suffering like a disease. Sometimes they become impersonalist and may even become a very well-known impersonalist. But all of these are departure from Krishna Seva, Krishna Bhakti. Because with a battered body, what can we serve? If we finished. And this devotee which I am speaking, who got this, horrible bodily situation in ISKCON, when he had everything, when he was in able body, he never chanted his rounds. Being a guru, he will ask his disciple, "Are you chanting 16 rounds?" He doesn't chant any rounds. Maximum 1 to 2 rounds a day. That's it. And it's a well-known fact. He was staying here in Singapore. And Sundagopal Prabhu and other senior devotees, they saw him. Never came for Mangalarati. Never chants his rounds. Eats so much, uncontrollable eating. And he had gundas. ISKCON Kolkata was Ritvik temple. And he sent 400 gundas and beat the hell out of the devotees, broken bones, bleeding bodies of devotees, and took over the ISKCON Kolkata temple. And you tell me that he is a bona fide guru, pure devotee. If you name names like that, because this ISKCON Pradatur, the ISKCON temple president, was actually bringing up these names. We have not been calling names because we want to be we want to talk about the principle of what Prabhupada said, Prabhupada's teachings. We're not going into who disobeyed and who did not, and whether this is a pure devotee, that is a pure devotee. We are not going there. We're just showing you the principle of what actually Prabhupada wanted, and if we deviate anything from here, it is going to be an offense. It is going to be a departure from following the order. And anyone who does that, by that criterion, will be condemned. But they were bringing names. Oh, what about, do you think that this person was not a pure devotee, not a guru, not... Then we will bring out the history. You bring out names, we will bring out the history. So don't do that. That's a bad argument, bad thing to try with us. So anyway, we have to be very, what I'm saying is our devotees should be knowledgeable in what Prabhupada wanted and in what these people did against Prabhupada's instructions. We have to be knowledgeable in all these things, because you may think that, oh, this is all politics, or this is not very inspiring to learn. You may think so, but is it not inspiring to actually stand and fight for the spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada? If come, if there's a situation where I'm questioned by some ISKCON devotee about something and I can't answer it, is that not an insult to Prabhupada? So we have to know the details of the matter. Of course, we don't want to go into this mudslinging or character assassination, or what is it called? What is the word for it? Ad hominem attacks. Ad hominem attack means to attack the person rather than the philosophy or the principle that he stands for. But if their names are called out, see, we should also, it's not about ad hominem attack. It's about studying the consequence of Vaishnava aparadha. We are not interested to kind of, how to say, blaspheme, or how to say, enjoy that, oh no, they are suffering or they are departed, we will expose them. We are not glamoring for that, not at all. If anything, we are studying carefully the effect of Vaishnava aparadha, what has happened. Now Prabhupada said here in this, you see here, Prabhupada is mentioning in this purport, as you can see on the screen, we have actually seen that a great Vaishnava aparadhi, he's talking about it, his own personal experience here. We have actually seen that a great Vaishnava aparadhi continuously suffered so much that it was difficult for him to move, and yet he did not die. So we have to see what incidents has happened, and we have to see it according to the scripture. Now in the scripture, in this verse of the Srimad Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and somebody offended. I think it was Chapal Gopal, very well. I think it's 17th chapter Adharma, it must be Chapal Gopal, who offended Srivas Pandit, and eventually suffered. But then Prabhupada connected it to his own experience of what he knew. So we have to be able to see the Shastra and not study it in silo. Oh, I don't want to get into this politics, I will just study Shastra. And then I will never see the whole world according to the Shastra Chakshu. What is Shastra Chakshu means? What is Veda Chakshu means? That means we have to see the world through the Vedas. We have to see the world. Not that I will not see the world. See no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. We have to know what is evil so that we can distinguish it from the good. Otherwise, we will conflate between good and evil. We will be unable to distinguish between them. So, so we have to understand, somebody is just going on writing comments, questions. We, don't keep on asking questions. Please, first of all, listen to the class. That's the etiquette. When you hear a class, listen to the class first. I don't like this, going on a tangent and asking some questions here and there. When it is warranted, yes. Don't ask when the subject being told here. Please listen attentively. That's how we learn. Simply, I'm speaking and then going on comments. This is not etiquette. Are you allowed, when you are sitting in a temple room in a class setting, when the speaker is speaking, are you just allowed to say whatever you want as he is speaking? If you have genuinely a question based on this thing, yeah, you ask once. Okay, put that question. Don't write 10-15 messages there. Okay, if we think it is relevant to the subject, we will answer at the end of the session. Okay, and if we think it is not relevant, we will not answer, and we will call you out and tell you that you don't ask questions which are not relevant. But spend the time in listening, not just typing away. Okay, so you see, this is how we have to see through Shastra. And even in ISKCON, why we should study these fall downs. Not that, oh, this is not an inspiring subject. It is a very pertinent subject. It's pertinent because we should not fall for the same traps. And if the some traps are, because history repeats itself if we don't learn from it. History repeats itself if we don't learn from it. So, our past informs our present and future because there are patterns. So, when I know what happened in my present, when I'm dealing with other devotees, when I see those same patterns, I should be able to predict what is going to happen by seeing that, hey, this is going the same route. I should do something about it. I should bring it out, or I should, address the situation somehow or other. So I have to be able to see these things. I will not be able to see these things if there are no examples like this to guide me. Shastra and my own experiences, it all has to tie in. It has to be congruent. Not that my study of Shastra is independent of my experience in this world. The world will say whatever, I don't mind, I don't care. Why I don't care? I should care. If I want to preach, why did Prabhupada care about the scientists going to the moon or about evolution, about Darwin's theory? Why is he concerned about this, or why is he concerned about what the politicians are doing? Sometimes he commented on, Mahatma Gandhi. Actually, it's not Mahatma, it's Gandhi. In fact, if anything, he was a Ganda, dirty in the mind. Nonsense. He's using scriptures for his own political agenda and then ruined the whole India because of his nonsense. Weak man, who did not have the. And it was just planted by the British anyway, the whole thing. But, Prabhupada commented on these things. And Prabhupada many times, quoted that Professor Kotovsky in Russia, who was advocating for communism and stuff like that. He quoted these things. So we have to see everything that we see through the eyes of the Shastra. And therefore we have to know. These are important lessons. When Krishna says, Evam parampara praptam imam rajarshayo viduhu sa kale neha mahata yogo nashtaha parantapa. Parampara, it was, the knowledge was handed down, but then in the course of time, the parampara became broken because of the force of time. What is this force of time? Sakale neha mahata. This is the meaning, that people who deviate from the order of the spiritual master are the ones responsible for the declension of a parampara. So, we have to be attentive in all these things. So, we have to know this subject. So, please follow that, read the IS-77, this rtvik system playlist. We have to know these things. Okay. So, anyway, going back, we were. Okay. You see, even in Chaitanya Charitamrita, in the Adi Lila, in the Madhya Lila here, Prabhupada mentioned so many times about what his god brothers did. Famously in the Adi Lila chapter 12, texts 8 through 12, you can see how Srila Prabhupada extensively is describing the situation in Gaudiya Math, how the whole thing became a fiasco. How his god brothers destroyed the movement, set up by his spiritual master. Why did he do that? Why is he engaging in politics and the purpose of Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is the scripture? That is called seeing through the Shastra. That's not politics. That's a very pertinent example of what is the principle in the Chaitanya Charitamrita and what is happening in accordance with that. It's very, very pertinent. And that is very important because now ISKCON, same thing happened. If we don't pay attention to all these things, then the same mistakes will repeat. That's why it's said history will repeat itself, they say. But history will repeat itself when we don't learn from it. If we learn from it, like the confessions of a Christian, he will go to the church and confess on Sunday, and then Monday he will return to the same thing which he confessed for on Sunday. What is the use? So, if we don't learn from it, then we'll continue with the same thing. So, it is good to learn from our own mistakes, but it is better to learn from others' mistakes so that we don't even commit them in the first place. And for that reason, we have to know. And not only these incidences, our scriptures, why is there mention of Chapal Gopal, who offended Srivas Pandit? Why? Why it has to be mentioned? Oh, no. We only should discuss about Krishna, his devotees. Why there is Hiranyakashipu then? Why there is Ravan then? Why these demons are also discussed? Because we have to understand what is the character of a demon. We have to understand what is the character of a devotee. That's why there is Prahlad and there is Hiranyakashipu. There is Hanuman and there is Ravan. So there is distinction between what is a devotee and what is a non-devotee. But this is very simplistic because there is one person called Hanuman, one person called Ravan. There is one person Prahlad and one person Hiranyakashipu. The problem we have is we have some tendencies of Prahlad and some tendencies of Hiranyakashipu also in the same person, ourselves. So we have to kill the Hiranyakashipu part of ourselves and increase the Prahlad part of ourselves. Of course, we're nowhere near Prahlad. The devotee part of ourselves. So for example, even as devotee, when we are attempting to become devotees, we want to become devotees. That's a good thing. But we have still remnants of our past conditioning which do not allow us to take to Krishna consciousness in full earnestness and in the right spirit. And that is that Hiranyakashipu mentality. And this is why Prahlad Maharaj, he prays, what is that? Five 18:8. Om Namo Bhagavate Narasimhaya Namastejaste Avirbhava Vajranatha Vajradamshtra Karmashayan Randhaya Tamograsagrasa Om Swaha Abhayamatmani Bhuyishtha Om Shraum. He's saying this whole prayer, beautiful prayer. What is he saying here? I offer my respectful obeisances unto Lord Narasimhadev, the source of all power. O my Lord, who possess nails and teeth just like thunderbolts, kindly vanquish our demon-like desires for fruitive activity in this material world. What did he say? He did not say, kindly vanquish my father. Kindly vanquish our demon-like desires. So I have these desires which may mask themselves as devotional desires. For example, case in point, I was saying, oh, I don't want to get into politics. I don't want to, read about all these fall downs of the bogus gurus. I just want to be concerned with Bhagavatam or Chaitanya Charitamrita or, Bhagavad Gita. If you want to learn Bhagavad Gita, there is Pandavas and Kauravas. If you want to learn Bhagavatam, there are the demigods and demons, and there are devotees and the Rakshasas who went against the devotees. It's full of these two. Everywhere you will see this. And if you see Chaitanya Charitamrita, there are devotees, there are offenders to devotees, all classes of people. In scriptures, if you want to read only scriptures, and in scriptures also these things are there. How can you avoid? So we have to see the world through the scriptures. So here he's saying, vanquish our demon-like desires for fruitive activity in this material world. And one of those demon-like desires is to belittle a pure devotee. Like in the case of Bhagavatam, the Shamika Rishi's son, Shringi, the Brahmana boy, he cursed Parikshit Maharaj to die within 7 days. So that is actually not a correct activity. He should not have done that. But of course, Parikshit Maharaj being Parikshit Maharaj, pure devotee of the Lord, he turned around the situation and made it good for everyone by using that 7 days. Because if he was a king, he would protect his citizens until his rule existed. But now he had only 7 days, so he got Bhagavatam recited by Sukadeva Goswami and recorded by, it was recorded by Vyasadeva, and then that is now existing for all time, and he's protecting not only his citizens for that time, but he's protecting all of us for all time. He turned around the situation. That's a pure devotee. But you see those examples like Shringi, they were also mentioned in the Bhagavatam. So we, by associating with those who are offending a pure devotee, like Srila Prabhupada, by not arguing with them, by not even knowing how to argue with them. Okay, not arguing is one thing, but not even being interested in preparing for such an argument in the service of Srila Prabhupada. These are subtle demon-like desires which we don't recognize. We think it is all devotional because, I don't want to get into politics, I just want to discuss Shastra. It looks like devotional, but it's a demon-like. When Arjuna also wanted to do that, he wanted to run away from the battlefield. No, I don't want to fight. After all, they are also great people. They are after all relatives and good people. How can you, find fault with Drona and Bhishma? And even though others were like not so good, yeah, we know they're not good, but I don't really want this kingdom. It looked very saintly, sounded very saintly. Krishna immediately, the first chance he got to speak, he said, Asochan Anvasochastam Pragyavadamscha Bhashase. Gatasu Nagatasomscha Nanusochanti Pandita. You're speaking like big Pragyavan and Jnanavan, Vidwan, Pandit. But you are mourning for a subject matter which no Pandit mourns about. He doesn't lament about this. But you are lamenting. You're not Pandit, you're a fool. In reply to Arjuna's sagacious suggestions that we should not fight the war. Look at how strongly Krishna condemned such so-called impartial, non-partisan thinking of Arjuna. Krishna induced him to be partisan for the truth, for dharma, for himself. Because in this case, in the case of Arjuna, Krishna is his guru. So the guru wanted that the war should take place. And our disciple Arjuna was thinking, no, I will not fight. Guru chastised him. So we have to fight for a guru. Like Arjuna fought for Krishna's sake, who is not only Supreme Personality of Godhead, but also his guru. He fought for his guru. He did not fight for the kingdom. It looks like he fought. Yes, he fought. But for what? For guru. Why did Lord Hanuman fight? For Ramachandra. Oh, no, it's all fighting. I don't want to get into fighting. I just want to chant Ram, Ram, Ram. Then that means Hanuman was wrong in fighting for Ram. Why? So this is wrong reasoning. We have to get into the trenches and fight. We have to take risks for the Guru, Srila Prabhupada and Krishna. That's what real preaching is. Okay? Like Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he was called Simha Guru, lion. Why? He was so courageous. He fought against all kinds of elements and he exposed them. In order to expose anti-dharmic, adharmic elements that come in all shapes and forms, that comes in honest adharmic shape or pseudo-dharmic shape. Pseudo-dharmic means it looks like dharma. Like many swamis and yogis, dress like, big beard and, malas and, saffron colored cloth and talk rubbish. They may be even intellectually accomplished, intellectually, with good orators, but against the Lord. People cannot identify, but we have to identify. Why did Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur then mention all these apasampradayas and the smartas and then all these adharmic principles in the garb of religion, pseudo-religion. We have to know these things. We have to know what is devotee and a pseudo-devotee, dharma and pseudo-dharma. We have to know dharma. That is why it is said, that verse. विधर्म परधर्मश्च आभास उपमाचलः अधर्म शाखा पंचम धर्म ज्ञो अधर्मवत् त्यजेत. That is important. So there are 5 branches of irreligion, appropriately known as irreligion, vidharma, religious principles for which one is unfit, paradharma, pretentious religion, abhasa, analogical religion, upadharma, and cheating religion, chaladharma. One who is aware of real religious life must abandon these 5 as irreligious. But how will he be able to abandon if he does not know these different divisions of a religion? We cannot simply be satisfied by, oh, that is a religion, I don't care for it, I'll just be concerned about dharma. No, here not only we should know what is adharma, not only we should know what is dharma, we should also know what is adharma, and not just superficially know. You see here, 5 branches of adharma are mentioned. Category. That means they have been studied and categorized into 5 different. That means how much vichar, how much contemplation there was about these adharmas. Not just lump them all as adharma, okay, this is all adharma, and only this is dharma, anything other than this is adharma. But whatever other than this, what is that other? What are the different branches of that other than this, other than adharma? That also is studied. So in detail we have to know, even adharma. From the acarya we have to know what is adharma in detail. And we have to learn from others' mistakes so that we don't commit such mistakes. We can guard ourselves against such mistakes, so that because we have all these examples to inform us how we should behave. So that's how we should understand these things. Okay? And therefore it is important. So सबापाश आज्ञा मागे चलन समाए प्रभु पद कहे किछु करे आविनय. After begging the permission of all the Vaishnavas present, the 2 brothers at the time of their departure humbly submitted something at the lotus feet of the Lord. इहा होते चलो प्रभु इहा नाही कय यद्यपि तुम्हारे भक्ति करे गौड़राज. They said, Dear Lord, although the King of Bengal, Nawab Hussain Shah, is very respectful toward you, you have no other business here. Kindly depart from this place. So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu initiated Rupa and Sanatana, and Rupa and Sanatana immediately took all the blessings of Vaishnavas and came back to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and said, please leave this place. How can they say that to the Guru? Well, they said like this because, if you attract too much attention, because you are attracting too much attention, which is good, because many people are getting, purified, but Nawab Hussain Shah, he was respectful toward you, but, he will not like if you get too much attention here, and then, so please leave this place. Now, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Supreme Personality of Godhead. Who can do any harm to him? So that's actually will be explained in the next verse. Let's see. तथापि जवन जाति ना करे प्रतीति तीर्थ जात्राए एत संघट भाल नहे रीति. Although the king is respectful toward you, he still belongs to the Yavana class and should not be believed. So, Nawab Hussain Shah was Muslim, and and he ate meat, and he was against the Hindus, and the Smarta Brahmins were kind of collaborating with him to get Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ousted. So it was a not a very congenial situation for the Vaishnavas. So, although the king is respectful toward you, he still belongs to the Yavana class and should not be believed. We think that there is no need for such a great crowd to accompany you on your pilgrimage to Vrindavan, because he wanted to go to Vrindavan, and then he had this huge crowd with him. So there's no need for such a great crowd to accompany you on your pilgrimage to Vrindavan. Now it looks like they are kind of undermining him. Hey, you should not have such a great crowd. It appears that they are not happy with so many people going with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Vrindavan. But why should they not be happy? Because they will get the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. After all, they are with God. How can any inauspiciousness happen? Uh, now you'll see. जार संगे चले ए लोक लक्ष कोटि वृंदावने जात्रा ने न है परिपाटी. Dear Lord, you are going to Vrindavan with hundreds and thousands of people following you. And this is not a fitting way to go on a pilgrimage. Purport. Sometimes for business purposes, large crowds of men are taken to different places of pilgrimage and money is collected from them. That is a very lucrative business, but Rupa and Sanatana Goswamis, expressing their opinion in the presence of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, disapproved of such crowded pilgrimages. Actually, when Lord Chaitanya visited Vrindavan, he visited it alone and accepted a servant only at his devotee's request. He never visited Vrindavan with crowds of people for a commercial purpose. Of course, they were not saying that, oh, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you are doing it for commercial purpose for hundreds and thousands. They did not want him to get too much attention so that people will attack him. And I say, why they are worried about him being attacked? Because his supreme personality can defend himself. But those who try to attack, they will commit offense, first of all, in order to save them from doing that. And also, they are teaching something. Here we have to understand that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came as Bhaktavatar. So he is teaching how devotees should behave when they are in a quagmire kind of situation, it's a little bit tough situation, delicate and tough situation. So let's read on. Actually, there is some insights in the coming verses. यद्यपि वस्तुतः प्रभुर किछु नहि भय तथापि लौकिक लीला लोक चेष्टामय. This is the part. यद्यपि वस्तुतः प्रभुर किछु नहि भय तथापि लौकिक लीला लोक चेष्टामय. So, although Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was Sri Krishna himself, the Supreme Lord, and was therefore not at all fearful, he still acted like a human being to teach neophytes how to act. This is the thing. He is Bhagavan, but he came as Bhaktavatar for a reason. He came as Bhaktavatar not to show that he is Bhagavan. He came as Bhaktavatar to show us how to become a Bhakta. It's a different mission altogether. So Rupa and Sanatan, they knew the mission of the Lord and they are talking to the Lord according to his mission. They are not disrespecting him. So dharma samsthapanarthaya. So Krishna comes and establishes dharma in different ways. So sometimes he comes as Supreme Lord and he shows his supremacy. Sometimes he came as like Lord Buddha and he cheated people and he spoke Avaidic philosophy, non-Vedic philosophy. And here he came as a devotee to show us how to become a devotee. It is like telling someone to write ABC, but then here he is coming and holding our hand and teaching us how to write ABC. So it's a different mission. So according to the mission of the Lord, the devotees know how to serve the Lord. So they're not doing a disservice by asking Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to leave the place, but they are telling him according to the Leela, Laukik Leela, Loka Cheshtamaya. So he still acted like a human being to teach neophytes how to act. Because in the future, like now, we will be in difficult situations while preaching. So how to navigate these situations is what he is teaching by his personal example. Eta boli charanavandi gela doi jan prabhur she grama hoite cholite hoilaman. Having spoken thus, the two brothers offered prayers to the lotus feet of the Lord and returned to their homes. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then desired to leave that village. Prate choli aila Prabhu kanaira natshala dekhila chakala taha Krishna charitra leela. In the morning, the Lord left and went to a place known as Kanai Natshala. While there, he saw many pastimes of Lord Krishna. Purport. In those days in Bengal, there were many places known as Kanai Natshala, where pictures of the pastimes of Lord Krishna were kept. People used to go there to see them. This is called Krishna Charitra Leela. In Bengal, there are still many places called Harisabha, which indicates a place where local people gather to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and discuss the pastimes of Lord Krishna. The word Kanair means Lord Krishna's, and Natshala indicates a place where pastimes are demonstrated. So those places which at the present moment are called Harisabha may previously have been known as Kanai Natshala. সেই রাত্রে প্রভু তাহা চিন্তে মনে মান সঙ্গে সংঘট্ট ভালে নহে কইল সনাতন. That night the Lord considered Sanatana Goswami's proposal that he should not go to Vrindavan followed by so many people. Mathura jaibo ami eta loka sange kichu sukha na paibo hobe rase bhange. The Lord thought, if I go to Mathura with such crowds behind me, it would not be a very happy situation, for the atmosphere would be disturbed. Rasa bhange. The rasa, the mood will be spoiled. It will be more, like busy, and then it will not be like actual mood of visiting Vrindavan, something like this. Purport. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu confirms that visiting a holy place like Vrindavan with so many people is simply disturbing. He would not find the happiness he desired by visiting such holy places in that way. So, you see, should only go with devotees, and also it will be easier if there is a smaller group of devotees. Of course, we cannot deny the opportunity for everyone, because sometimes that's the only time they have to go to the holy places. Sometimes numbers become bigger, but in such situations we can see that the attention that can be given, and the relaxed atmosphere in which we can discuss many things sometimes gets overshadowed by family having their problems, and children, for that, okay, you know what, we'll just go away from here. There's no time to interact properly, because when we go to pilgrimage, there has to be sufficient, so because it evokes the mood of Krishna consciousness, and in that setting there can be very valuable discussions that can happen between devotees, that can be disturbed if there are too much crowds, and if not all are on the same page, for example, and everybody's at different levels. Like, for example, Krishna and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Rai, when they met on the bank of the Krishna river, and then they spoke Ramananda Samvad, the famous conversation with Ramananda Rai. Only they both were there, and they discussed very deep philosophy. But when there are other people who came around, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu reduced his ecstasy, and they kind of spoke more worldly, in a more worldly way than in a more devotional way. Of course, we are not, in that level of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to speak in high ecstasy or something. But very productive, deep philosophical discussions and study of the Lord's pastimes in those places can be done if there is more time at our disposal. So that's why it is said here, so many people, it's disturbing. He would not find the happiness he desired by visiting such holy places in that way. एकाकी जायबो किंबा संगे एक जान तबे से शोभाए वृंदावन रे गमन. The Lord concluded that he would go alone to Vrindavan, or at most would take only one person as his companion. In that way, going to Vrindavan would be very pleasant. Eta chinti pratah kale ganga snan kori nila chale jabo bole chalila gaura hari. Thinking like this, the Lord took his morning bath in the Ganga and started for Nilachal, saying, I shall go there. Nilachal means Jagannatha, not Vrindavan here. এই মতো চলি চলি আইলা শান্তিপুরে, দিন 5-7 রহিলা আচার্যের ঘরে। Walking and walking, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu arrived at Shantipur and remained at the house of Advaita Acharya for 5 to 7 days. And see, he was walking and walking from one town to another town, hundreds of kilometers walking. Because sannyasi is not supposed to, take any conveyances. But now, of course, we take for other reasons, for preaching. But we have short time, in this world. We have to engage in preaching. If you want to walk for all that time, I would rather save the time and take some, conveyance like a vehicle and go there and do some work, preaching work. We have short life. So this is Yukta Vairagya. And how would have Prabhupada gone to all the countries if not for the aeroplane? Shachi Devi Ani Tare Koilo Namaskar, Sato Din Tare Thai, Bhiksha Vyavahar. Taking this opportunity, Sri Advaita Acharya Prabhu sent for Mother Shachi Devi, and she remained at his house for 7 days to prepare the meals for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. तार आज्ञा लैया पुनः करेला गमने, विनय करिया विदाय दिल भक्त गणे. Taking permission from his mother, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then started for Jagannath Puri. When the devotees followed him, he humbly begged them to remain and bade them all farewell. जना दुई संगे आमी जाबो नीलाचले, आमारे मिलिबासी रथ यात्रा काले. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, although requesting all the devotees to go back, allowed 2 people to follow him. He requested all the devotees to come to Jagannath Puri and meet him during the car festival, Jagannath Rath Yatra. So at that time there was a huge, group of devotees from Bengal who go from Bengal to the Nilachal. So although it's a pilgrimage and they go in huge numbers, it is still, something that Shivananda Sena used to do, and it is approved. So we cannot deny the devotees who want to come. But again, everyone must be wanting to not spoil the mood by bringing their materialistic disturbances to the spiritual program. But it's always a little bit challenging when we go with grihasthas, because everybody has their own family issues. So it is not the same as, when, say, for example, a group of brahmacharis go. With brahmacharis or, men or sannyasis, something like this, everyone can be on the same page, and, they have no other, activity than just Krishna consciousness. But with family comes children, somebody this and somebody that, and it's a bit challenging. But nevertheless, we have to try to help them. So the main thing, going to pilgrimage is one thing, okay, to see the pastimes, but not only while in the pilgrimage, but because in the pilgrimage, if it is going to be a lot of traveling and seeing all these places, it will be difficult to actually engage in proper Shravan Kirtan, unless it's a more relaxed, more like 1 month trip to a few places. Then yes, there is more time to actually in each place have the whole full program and everything. Otherwise, usually the whole day is just like, even sometimes traveling and getting down, taking prasadam, and going to this place, go visiting that place, and then the traffic jams and everything you have to combat, and sleep at find some accommodation. This takes up the whole time. So Shravan Kirtan does not happen much. If we have very little time, then we have to see all these places, then it's how it ends up happening. But that's why the rest of the time, and actually the devotees are in their own places wherever they are, they should go to the temple every day and engage in Shravan Kirtan process. It has to be a whole year-long, lifelong activity on a regular basis. That's what will keep our devotional life intact. the Shravan Kirtan process more than anything else. You can go to all the Goswami temples and this and that and take darshan, but you will not be inspired unless you engage in Shravan and Kirtan. Shravan and Kirtan is the lifeblood of devotees. Otherwise, we will lose all our enthusiasm, even in the holiest of places. बलभद्र भट्टाचार्य आर पंडित दामोदर दुई जन संगे प्रभु आयला नीलाचल. The two persons who accompanied Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Jagannath Puri Nilachal were Balabhadra Bhattacharya and Damodar Pandit. दिन को तो ताहा रही चलेला वृंदावन लुकाया चलेला रात्रे ना जाने को न जन. After remaining at Jagannath Puri for a few days, the Lord secretly started for Vrindavan at night. He did this without anyone's knowledge. He can't even go to Vrindavan in peace. He had to run away in the night without telling anyone. बलभद्र भट्टाचार्य रहे मात्र संगे झारखंड पथे काशी आयला महारंगे. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left for Jagannath Puri for Vrindavan, only Balabhadra Bhattacharya was with him. Thus he travelled on the path through Jharkhand and arrived at Banaras, Varanasi with great delight. Even now there is a state in India called Jharkhand, and that is because of this forest of Jharkhand. So Balabhadra Bhattacharya followed Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and that whole forest, even now I think there is a place in that forest, Charan Pahadi, where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's footprints on the rock are there, where he was dancing in ecstasy and the rock melted. And even the animals that were dancing, even their footprints were imprinted into the rock because the rock melted with their footprints as well. The animals were in ecstasy. Tiger and snake and everybody was in ecstasy. Monkeys, deer, and everybody was dancing together. And that famous kirtan in the forest happened in Jharkhand. So it's very auspicious. And now we have a state with that same name. So if you go to India, you'll find all these, names of states which still have all these history of them in our scriptures. So Varanasi, he reached with great delight. Dinachara काशी ते रहे गेला वृंदावन मथुरा देखिया देखे द्वादश कानन. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stayed at Banaras only 4 days and then left for Vrindavan. After seeing the town of Mathura, he visited the 12 forests of Vrindavan. Purport: those who visit the Vrindavan area today also generally visit 12 places known as the 12 forests, Dvadasha Kanan. They start at Mathura, where there is Kamyavan. From there they go to Talavan, Tamalavan, Madhuvan, Kusumavan, Bhandirvan, Bilvavan, Bhadravan, Khadiravan, Lohavan, Kumudavan, and Gokul Mahavan. So many, all these 12 forests, names are given here. So I don't remember this name. So. See. लीला स्थल देखी प्रेमे हईल अस्थिर बलभद्र कोइल तारे मथुरार बहिर. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited all 12 places of Sri Krishna's pastimes, he became very much agitated because of ecstasy. Balabhadra Bhattacharya somehow or other got him out of Mathura. Ganga tire pathe loya prayage aila Shri Rupa ase Prabhu ke tahai mein lila. So Prayag. After leaving Mathura, the Lord began to walk along the path of the bank of the Ganga, and finally he reached the holy place named Prayag, Allahabad. It was there that Sri Rupa Goswami came and met the Lord. So now it is called Prayagraj. We have been there. I was there for about like 3 weeks in Prayag during the Kumbh Mela this year. So I was fortunate to be there. And we went to this place where uh, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met Rupa Goswami at the Dashashramedha Ghat. And that's where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spoke to him for 10 days and instructed him to write books on Krishna conscious philosophy. And he spoke to him about what to write, and the whole philosophy he spoke to him in 10 days. So that place, the Shashwamedha Ghat, is still there. दंडवत कोरि रूप भूमिते पड़िला परमानंदे प्रभु आलिंगन दिला. At Prayag, Rupa Goswami fell down on the ground to offer obeisances to the Lord, and the Lord embraced him with great delight. In fact, Srila Prabhupada lived at Prayag for 12 years. 12 years in his Grihastha life. He had a business, medical business, pharmacy, and that place is still there where he used to have his pharmacy. I could not go there because I was engaged in some other seva there, and that place is there. Now there is no pharmacy there, but it's called Prayag Pharmacy, Prabhupada's pharmacy name, and it used to be at a place, and now there is a Allahabad Cooperative Bank or something, but the location is still there. So Prabhupada used to work there, and which Maharaj was it? Tirtha Maharaj was the disciple of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who came there during Kumbh Mela in 1928, and he met Prabhupada. Somebody referred to him, and he met, that time his name was Abhay Charan, Abhay Babu they called him. So they came to meet him, and because somebody told them that there is a very pious man, he's very religious, he will support, because they wanted to start a Gaudiya Math temple in Prayag. And so in 1928, when the Kumbh Mela was happening, the Tirtha Maharaj and other devotees, they came and met Prabhupada. And Prabhupada immediately was so happy to see them, because in 1922, he saw Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, right? The first meeting. After that, he had a very nice impression about him and his movement. And he was always thinking, oh, I met a very saintly person. And now when his disciples came to him, he was overjoyed. And then he played a very significant role, contributed a lot of money to establish the Gaudiya Math in Prayag. So I went to that Gaudiya Math temple. Now it's in doldrums, honestly. It's a big compound, nice place, but preaching is dead. There's nothing going on. But it was the temple was actually constructed and finished in 1931. Okay, so 3 years they construct. I think it was not as big as what it is now. It's a bigger hall now. Nice place actually. But that is 1931. But it was torn down completely and rebuilt in 1979. So that structure that is there is from 1979. It's quite a good structure actually. It's a good temple, but there's nothing going on there. That's the thing. Everybody is just like, it's a sleepy building. Unfortunate, but that's the state of Gaudiya Math at this point. So that's the kind of history there. I mean, Prabhupada, he was there at Prayag for so many years. So Rupa Goswami. श्री रूपे शिक्षा कराए पाठाइला वृंदावन आपने करेला वाराणसी आगमन. After instructing Srila Rupa Goswami at Prayag at the Dashashramedha Ghat, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ordered him to go to Vrindavan. The Lord then returned to Varanasi. काशी ते प्रभु के आसे मिलेला सनातन दुई मास रहे तारे कराइला शिक्षण. So here in Prayag he met Rupa Goswami and spoke to him for 10 days. Here in where is this, Varanasi? Yeah. The Lord spoke to Sanatana Goswami. Actually, I was very near. Prayag and Varanasi are not very far from each other. It's about 120 kilometers away. I went to Prayag through Varanasi, but it was only in the night. I was just waiting for the bus in Varanasi because I flew from Mumbai to Varanasi, and from Varanasi I just took a bus in the night to Prayag. So I did not really spend any real time going to all the places of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Prayag, because there are a few actually. Bindu Madhav temple, and I don't know where this a meeting happened in Sanatana Goswami and Mahaprabhu. There must be some information there. The ISKCON and Gaudiya Math, they should have some information. I think who Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu from Chennai, he went there and he went to a few places there. So I could not go there. Next time, maybe some other time, I'll try to maybe go there. So here, the Lord remained there for 2 months and instructed Sanatana Goswami perfectly. So 2 months. मथुरा पाठाइला तारे दिया भक्ति बोल सन्यासीर कृपा करी गेला नीलाचल. After fully instructing Sanatana Goswami, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sent him to Mathura with empowered devotional service. In Banaras or Varanasi, he also bestowed his mercy upon the Mayavadi sannyasis. He then returned to Nilachal, Jagannath Puri. 6 वत्सर आए छे प्रभु करिला विलास कभु इति उति कभु क्षेत्रवास. 6 वत्सर आए छे प्रभु करिला विलास कभु इति उति कभु क्षेत्रवास. The Lord travelled all over India for 6 years. He was sometimes here and sometimes there, performing his transcendental pastimes, and sometimes he remained at Jagannath Puri. आनंदे भक्त संगे सदा कीर्तन विलास जगन्नाथ दर्शन प्रेमेर विलास. While at Jagannath Puri, the Lord passed his time in great joy by performing Sankirtan and visiting the temple of Jagannath in great ecstasy. मध्य लीलार कहिलुए सूत्र विवरण अंत्य लीलार सूत्र एबे सुनो भक्तगण. So you see, until now, in the 247 verses of the first chapter of Madhya Lila, he summarized the entire Madhya Lila contents. So all these stories will be more elaborately described later on in Madhya Lila. There are 25 chapters, if I am not wrong, in the Madhya Lila, right? Chapters, Madhya Lila. So just imagine, 24 more chapters are there, and all these things are in great detail described there. Even the teachings that he gave to Rupa Goswami, the teachings that he gave to Sanatana Goswami towards the end of Madhya Lila, that is what the topic is. Even in the 25th chapter, that is the topic. So now he is saying that I have given a synopsis of the Madhya Lila, the middle pastimes of the Lord. Now, O devotees, kindly hear the synopsis of the final pastimes of the Lord, known as the Antya Lila. So that's what the whole subject of this first chapter of Madhya Lila is, which is a synopsis of all the Madhya Lila pastimes and Antya Lila pastimes. So I think I just want to finish this whole chapter probably. I hope I'll be able to do that. Oh, that's, I think, difficult. Let's try how much we can, because there are 287 verses in this chapter. I'm in 249. Let's see. वृंदावन होते जोदि नीलाचले आयला 18 वर्ष ताहा वास कहाँ नाही गेला. You see, when the Lord returned to Jagannath Puri from Vrindavan, he remained there and did not go anywhere else for 18 years. प्रतिवर्ष आय सेन ताहा गौड़ेर भक्तगण 4 मास रहे प्रभुर संगे सम्मेलन. And during those 18 years, all the devotees of Bengal used to visit him at Jagannath Puri every year. They would remain there for 4 continuous months and enjoy the company of the Lord. निरंतर नृत्य गीत कीर्तन विलास आचंडाले प्रेम भक्ति करिला प्रकाश. At Jagannath Puri, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu performed chanting and dancing unceasingly. Thus he enjoyed the pastime of Sankirtan. He manifested his causeless mercy, pure love of God to everyone, including the lowest man. Pandita Gosai Koilo Nilachale Vas, Vakreshwar Damodar Shankara Haridas. Residing with the Lord at Jagannath Puri were Pandit Gosai and other devotees such as Vakreshwar Damodar Shankar and Haridas Thakur. Jagadananda Bhagavan Govinda Kashishwar Paramananda Puri Ar Swarup Damodar. Jagadananda Bhagavan Govinda Kashishwar Paramananda Puri and Swarup Damodar were other devotees who also lived with the Lord. Kshetravasi Ramananda Raya Prabhriti Prabhu Sange Ei Sab Koilo Nitya Sthiti. Srila Ramananda Rai and other devotees who were residents of Jagannath Puri also remained permanently with the Lord. So Ramananda Rai was the governor of the kingdom of Madras. At that time, Madras means not just Chennai, that is now. The Madras, it was not called Madras. Madras, it is a Muslim thing, Madrasa. So the Madras kingdom, extended all the way till Orissa, till Jagannath Puri almost. So the whole of Andhra and everything was called the Madras. They had different names also at that time. But during Prabhupada's time, during even British occupation, it was still called Madras Kingdom. The whole, even much of Andhra was that. Advaita Nityananda Mukunda Shrivas Vidyanidhi Vasudeva Murari Jatodas Prativarshe Aise Sange Rahe Chari Mas Tasabaloya Prabhur Vividha Vilas. Other devotees of the Lord, headed by Advaita Acharya, Nityananda Prabhu, Mukunda, Shrivas, Vidyanidhi, Vasudeva, and Murari, used to visit Jagannath Puri and remain with the Lord for 4 continuous months. The Lord enjoyed various pastimes in their company. Haridaser Siddhi Prapti Adbhuta She Sab Apane Mahaprabhu Jar Kailo Mahotsava. Siddhi Prapti, passing away. So, Siddhi Prapti. At Jagannath Puri, Haridas Thakur passed away. The incident was very wonderful because the Lord himself performed the festival of Thakur Haridas's departure. Tabe Rupa Gosair Punaragaman Tahar Hriday Koila Prabhu Shakti Sancharan. At Jagannath Puri, Srila Rupa Goswami met the Lord again, and the Lord invested his heart with all transcendental power. Tabe Choto Haridase Prabhu Koilo Danda Damodara Pandit Koila Prabhu ke Vakya Danda. After this, the Lord punished Junior Haridas, and Damodar Pandit gave some warning to the Lord. Now, the details of these things, I think, some detail is here already, but more detail will be there in the Anthalila. Purport. Actually, Damodar Pandit was the eternal servant of the Lord. I think he was mistaken. Okay, so anyway. Actually, Damodar Pandit was the eternal servant of the Lord. He could not punish the Lord at any time, nor had he any desire to, but he did give some warning to the Lord so that others would not blaspheme him. Of course, he should have known that the Lord is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and is free to act in any way. There is no need to warn him, and such an action is not very much appreciated by advanced devotees. Yeah. So anyway, the whole details will be given later on. Tabe Sanatana Gosair Punaragaman Jaishthamase Prabhu Tare Koilo Parikshana. Thereafter, Sanatana Goswami met the Lord again, and the Lord tested him in scorching heat during the month of Jaishtha. Jaishtha means what month is that? Must be somewhere. तुष्ट होया प्रभु तारे पाठायला वृंदावन अद्वैत हस्ते प्रभुर अद्भुत भोजन. Being pleased, the Lord sent Sanatana Goswami back to Vrindavan. After that, he was fed wonderfully by the hands of Sri Advaita Acharya. Nityananda Sange Jukti Korea Nibhrite Tare Pathaila Gaude Prema Pracharite. After sending Sanatana Goswami back to Vrindavan, the Lord privately consulted with Sri Nityananda Prabhu. He then sent him to Bengal to preach love of Godhead. Tabeto Vallabha Bhatta Prabhu Remi Lila Krishna namer artha prabhu tahare kahila. Soon afterward, Vallabha Bhatta met the Lord at Jagannath Puri, and the Lord explained to him the import of the holy name of Krishna. Purport: Vallabha Bhatta is the head of the Vaishnava Sampradaya known as the Vallabhacharya Sampradaya in Western India. There is a long story about Vallabhacharya narrated in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, specifically in the 7th chapter of the Antya Leela and the 19th chapter of the Madhya Leela. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited the house of Vallabhacharya on the other side of Prayag, in a place known as Adail Gram. Oh, yes. This Arail Ghat here is mentioned as Adail Gram. Arail Ghat is where Vallabha Bhatta met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And I was supposed to go there. I did not go there. We went very near there, but we did not go to the exact place. But I think Suchandra Prabhu, one of our devotees, he went there. Arail Ghat. Yeah, it's on the other side of the river, Adail Gram. Later, Vallabha Bhatt saw Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Jagannath Puri. Okay. So when he was there in Prayag, they met at Arail Ghat. And now Vallabha Bhatt came to Jagannath Puri to meet the Lord. Later, Vallabha Bhatt saw Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Jagannath Puri to explain his commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam. Because he said, because he wrote a commentary on Bhagavatam and he wanted to explain that to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was very proud of his writings, but Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu corrected him, telling him that a Vaishnava should be humble and follow in the footsteps of his predecessors. The Lord told him that his pride in being superior to Sridhar Swami was not at all befitting a Vaishnava. So he was chastised by the Lord, actually, Vallabhacharya. He's actually from the Gadadhar Pandit's line, Vallabhacharya. And eventually became an acharya there. But yeah, he had this attitude before, where he was thinking, he was superior to Sridhar Swami. And in fact, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told him, Swami means master. So the wife actually, the Vedic culture is the wife calls the husband as Swami because the husband is her master. So he used that word Swami in that context, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and said, whoever considers the whoever insults the Swami and shows disregard, I consider him a prostitute. So if a wife does not give respect to her husband, if she's not chaste, if she's not faithful to her Swami, that means she's a prostitute. She's having another affair. So similarly, he used that way to explain that, if you are not faithful to Swami's explanation of Bhagavatam commentary, then I consider you a prostitute. So he chastised Vallabhacharya like that. It was a bit jokingly, but at the same time it was also instructive. प्रद्युम्न मिश्रेरे प्रभु रामानंद स्थाने कृष्ण कथा सुनाइल कहे तार गुणे. After explaining the transcendental qualities of Ramananda Rai, the Lord sent Pradyumna Mishra to his residence, and Pradyumna Mishra learned Krishna Katha from him, from Ramananda Rai. Gopinath Patnaik Ramananda Bhrata Raja Mari Techilo Prabhu Hoilo Trata. After this, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saved Gopinath Patnaik, the younger brother of Ramananda Rai, from being condemned to death by the king. I don't remember this Gopinath Patnaik story very well. Ramachandra Puri bhoye bhiksha ghataila Vaishnaver dukh dekhi ardhek rakhila. Ramachandra Puri criticized Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's eating. Therefore, the Lord reduced his eating to a minimum. However, when all the Vaishnavas became very sorry, the Lord increased his portion to half as much as usual. So this Ramachandra Puri is the disciple of Madhavendra Puri, who became Mayavadi, and then he became a criticizer of Vaishnavas for no reason, and he criticized the Lord as well. But the Lord took it, teaching us how to take criticism as well. But of course, the devotees weren't happy uh, with his behavior towards the Lord. ब्रह्मांड ब्रह्मांड भीतरे होय 14 भुवन 14 भुवने वैसे जत जीवगण. There are 14 planetary systems within the universe, and all living entities reside in those planetary systems. मनुष्येर वेश धरे जात्रिकेर छले प्रभुर दर्शन करे आशीनी लाचले. Dressing like human beings on pilgrimage, they all used to come to Jagannath Puri to visit Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this is the thing. There were, all the inhabitants of the universe, even the demigods from the higher planets, they used to come in the garb of human beings on pilgrimage, and they all used to come to Jagannath Puri to visit Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So how the Lord's pastimes take place is very mysterious, and we cannot fully understand what is actually happening, because they can do many things which we don't understand. So verses like this, they reveal some of those secrets. एक दिन श्रीवासादि जत भक्तगण महाप्रभुर गुण गाया करे न कीर्तन. One day, all the devotees headed by Srivas Thakur were chanting the transcendental qualities of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. सुनि भक्त गणे कहे सक्रोध वचने कृष्ण नाम गुण छाड़े की करो कीर्तने. Not liking the chanting of his transcendental qualities, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chastised them as if he were angry. What kind of chanting is this? He asked. Are you leaving aside the chanting of the holy name of the Lord? This is why it is said that the name of the Panchatattva mantra is much more potent than the Hare Krishna Mahamantra also, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is even more merciful than Krishna himself. Still, we are made to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra because that is the order of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We are not supposed to chant, just because something is powerful and something will benefit me, I will just chant that for my sense gratification, or because I want to get out of the material life. But the order of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is that we have to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and therefore, as devotees, we should be more concerned with the order of the Lord than in our own deliverance. And in the execution of the order of the Lord is our deliverance. And if we actually go against the order, that's actually detrimental to us. So, that's why we chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and of course we chant the Panchatattva mantra before chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. There is some doubts because some devotees ask, when should we chant the Panchatattva mantra? Because I see many devotees, they chant the japa, and after every round or before every round they chant the Panchatattva mantra every single round. But if you see, Srila Prabhupada actually did not do it. If you see his japa tape, 2 japa tapes are there of his. In both of them, he does not do it like that. So we should learn from the acarya how to do it. So we should chant the Panchatattva mantra before we start the session of our japa, but throughout the session, how many ever rounds we do, we have to do it continuously. And at the end of the round, at the end of the session, you can chant again Namo Vishnupadaya, Namaste Saraswati Deve, and Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya as a conclusion. So that's the way we should do it. Just like in our kirtan, we chant the Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya. We chant 3 times actually in kirtan, and then we chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra for a long time. So japa also is like that. So, but devotees usually chant Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Panchatattva mantra after every round or before every round. But we should chant the whole japa session continuously Hare Krishna mantra. That's how Prabhupada did it. Even in his japa by example, that audio also, it is the same thing. He was just chanting Hare Krishna for half an hour. Of course, he chanted more than one round, right? So, but you will never see him chant the Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya mantra. But of course, we should take the blessings. We should seek the blessings of the Panchatattva. That's why we should chant their mantra before we start. So here in this verse, we can see that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not very happy when they were chanting his name. Of course, it is said here that, as if he were angry, chastise them as if he were angry. Of course, he's happy when we are chanting his name. Like there is some Apasampradaya of Gaudiya Vaishnavas where they chant Bhajan Nitai Gaur Radhesham Japa Hare Krishna Hare Ram. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur deconstructed that mantra and heavily criticized many aspects of that mantra. Why it is Bhaja Gaur Nitai Gaur Radhesham but Japa Hare Krishna Hare Ram? Why Hare Krishna Hare Ram should be only Japa, which is like silent chanting, and not Kirtan? And we should chant. And then wherein there is Nitai Gaur Radhesham. Gaur is already Radhesham and Nitai is Balaram. So Nitai Gaur and Radhesham, that's not an equal. Because Nitai Gaur is Radha Krishna and Balaram, and here is only Radha Krishna. So rasa wise it's not matching, and then the mission wise it's also not matching, because Bhajan Nitai Gaur and Radhesham, but Japa Hare Krishna Hare Ram. And the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is the Mahamantra for this age. Why it should be reduced to a Japa only? So he very vehemently wrote against it and spoke against it. And Siddhanta, by philosophically he condemned that. Not just saying, oh, this is wrong because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not order us. Yes, that is correct. But we should also know why it is wrong. That's another example we can see here, where we should follow what Krishna said. We should follow what Srila Prabhupada said. But we should not be, actually it is just enough that Krishna said don't do it, we should not do it. But we should also have reasoning to support that conviction that I should not do it because Krishna did not ask me to do it, or Krishna asked me not to do it, or I should do this because Krishna asked me to do it, or Krishna usually doesn't talk to us directly because we're not so qualified, at least I am not so qualified. He tells it through the Guru. So Guru said like this, I should do like this. Yes, but if somebody else is doubtful about it, why we should not do, why? No, Prabhupada said like this, you cannot argue. That's okay, fine. That is one argument. We should not argue with what Prabhupada said. But it's not about arguing. There's another thing about it. It's to also, they may be just doubtful. Why is Prabhupada saying like that? They may just be inquisitive. They just want to find out why Prabhupada said like that. Why Prabhupada said we cannot do this, or we should do this. Then there has to be reasoning. So our reasoning should be supporting the order of the Guru. We should, that's why let's take out this verse. I think it's 11th canto somewhere. 11:13:33. This verse is important. Evam vimrishya gunato manasasthryavastha manmayaya mayi krita iti nishchitartha sanchidya hardamanumanasa dukti tikshna jnanasina bhajatamakhila samshayadham. You should consider how, by the influence of my illusory energy, these three states of the mind, caused by the modes of nature, have been artificially imagined to exist in me. Having definitely ascertained the truth of the soul, you should utilize the sharpened sword of knowledge acquired by logical reflection and from the instructions of sages and Vedic literatures to completely cut off the false ego, which is the breeding ground of all doubts. How to cut off the false ego, which is the breeding ground of all doubts? By ascertaining the truth of the soul, you should utilize the sharpened sword of knowledge acquired by logical reflection. So when we receive something, knowledge, we should logically reflect upon it. That's why it is called Tat Shrinvan Supathan Vicharana Paro Bhaktya Vimuchen Naraha. 12, 13, 18 Bhagavatam. We have to hear, we have to study, we have to repeat, and we have to do vicharana. We have to logically reflect upon it. And yes, this logically reflect does not mean, why did Prabhupada say like this? I think he should not have said. Because this is also there, that is also not like that. We should never doubt the instruction. We should logically support our conviction in that instruction. That is the proper way to do it. And that logical reflection has to be based on, again, Shastra and Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. So that's the way to do it. And even when we see some incidences, we have to connect it and logically connect it to that instruction. That's what is called Shastra Chakshusha or Veda Chakshusha, Jnana Chakshusha. That's what it's called. That's what it means. So this logical reflection is important. We have to logically, what is the philosophical logic in this instruction? We have to understand that. Then we can be more firmly convinced and more strongly adhere to that instruction. If we adhere to the instruction only because Prabhupada said it and I don't really know why he said it, that does not help my conviction or my adherence to Prabhupada. So I have to know in doubt. So that's why it is said here also. But we should approach this. This is a very delicate thing. Pariprashnena is a very delicate thing. And we should approach it with the right attitude, not with a challenging attitude. Okay? Siddhanta boliya chitte na karo alas, iha hoite Krishna lage sudhrida manas. A sincere student should not neglect the discussion of such conclusions, considering them controversial, for such discussions strengthen the mind. Thus one's mind becomes attached to Sri Krishna. See this? This is the reason why we should do it. With this attitude, to strengthen our mind, not to doubt every damn thing, and then I become a doubtful soul. It's not a doubt. It's a doubt, yes, because we're not clear. But we're not doubting the conclusion, but how to understand it, how to logically understand it, so that I can have more. If somebody asks also, I can explain. Just like I told you many times. Arjuna was asking questions in the Bhagavad Gita. For example, I spoke to the sun god, Krishna said. How did you speak to sun god? But you are my age. When did you speak to him? He is very, very old, much older than you and I. Millions of years older than us. How did you speak to him? He must already be knowledgeable by now. So then he explained that in a previous verse, in a previous life, I spoke to him. You were also there. I remember all of them, but you don't. I remember that I spoke to him. So that then clarifies, and actually, if anything, it not just clarifies the doubt, it adds to the glory of Krishna. Because of that question, now we know that Krishna remembers all his previous lives, but we don't. And that's the difference between the Lord and us. And also, Ajopisana Vyatma, that he said that I never changed my body, it's my transcendental body all along. And then Prabhupada explains that the forgetfulness that we have is because we change bodies. If we don't change body, there's no forgetfulness. In our present body also, we're changing bodies. Our childhood body is different from now. And now this body will be different from our oldest body. So, body is always changing. And therefore, there is this forgetfulness. If one has the same body, spiritual body, there's no forgetfulness. And that's what Prabhupada explains, that that's the reason why we forget, and that's the reason why Krishna does not forget. So all these knowledge would not have been uncovered or discovered if not for that prodding, that questioning. See? So, to strengthen our understanding and to deepen our understanding, we should question, not to challenge the conclusion, but to deeply understand the conclusion. Okay, going back. औद्धत्य करिते कहल सबाकार मन स्वतंत्र हइया सबे ना साबे भुवन. Thus, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chastised all the devotees, telling them not to show impudence and spoil the entire world by becoming independent. Strong statement. Purport. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu warned all his followers not to become independent or impudent. Unfortunately, after the disappearance of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, many apasampradayas, or so-called followers, invented many ways not approved by the acaryas. Bhaktivinoda Thakur has described them as the Aula, Baula, Karta Bhaja, Neda, Darvesh, Sani, Sahajiya, Sakhibeki, Smarta, Jata Gosai, Ativadi, Chudadhari, and Gauranga Nagari. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. These 13 Ampasampradayas. The Aula Sampradaya, Baula Sampradaya, and others invented their own ways of understanding Lord Chaitanya's philosophy without following in the footsteps of the Acharyas. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself indicates herein that all such attempts would simply spoil the spirit of his cult. How much relevant this is today? Seeing what is happening with our movement itself in ISKCON, going against the order of Srila Prabhupada, and you see, invented their own ways of understanding Chaitanya's philosophy. So similarly, they are trying to invent their own ways to understand Prabhupada's philosophy. They are thinking they are following Prabhupada by doing that, but they are not. Maya is so powerful that when the instructions are so clearly laid out, still they can have an interpretation that convinces them that what they're doing is right. We have to be extremely fortunate in order to come to the right conclusion. Otherwise, they actually don't have answers to many of the questions about this guru issue. And if that is not clear, that if the guru can fall down, it doesn't have to be a pure devotee, your entire basis of Krishna consciousness is on a tottering platform. Because the whole point, how are we going back to Godhead? We are doing all these services and everything for one reason, to serve Krishna and to go back to Godhead. But when I say go back to Godhead, it's not that I want to place in the spiritual world. That's not pure devotion. Going back to Godhead means going back to His service. It can be anywhere. So, we're doing for that one reason of attaining love of Godhead. Yeah? Krishna Bhakti, Krishna Prema. And in order to get that, only Krishna can bless us with that. And Krishna will bless only those with whom He is pleased. And Krishna is only pleased with those who please His pure devotee. So if I disobey the pure devotee of Krishna, the empowered incarnation who is the personification of the prediction of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when he said, Prithivita Achujatanagradigram Sarvatra Prachar Hoive Mornam. Every town and village of this world, my name will be spread. And he also said, my Senapati Bhakta will come and do this. And when his Senapati Bhakta comes and we disobey him, what chance we have to please Krishna, and how will we get that Krishna Prema, and for what are we even doing all these things? So it looks like, oh, we are doing ISKCON and ISKCON basically same, because they are also doing Mangalarti and this and that, and we are also doing, and it's all the same. It's not. It's not at all the same, because here we are trying to follow the instructions of Srila Prabhupada as it is, whereas there it's built on a platform in which the idea of a guru, first of all, Prabhupada is ousted, and next, because of that, in order to keep that intact, that these gurus have to be there, So that is their bedrock of their philosophy, that this guru system is correct. Now they change the philosophy and everything to suit that, to keep that status quo. They don't want to change that status quo at all. They want to keep it as it is and change everything around it. Change even the philosophy. They say, oh, pure devotee, he can fall down, because there is the independence of the jiva and all that. This is how they talk. When he's empowered by Krishna, Krishna Shaktivana Nahitar Pravata, when he's empowered by Krishna, there's no fall down when he's a pure devotee. He's especially protected by the Lord. So it's a very dangerous thing they're doing, and so many introductions of false philosophies, logically even, they will lose any debate. Logically, they will lose debates if they debate with us. Because there is no moderator in the debate, they get along, they somehow walk away from these debates thinking they have, maybe defeated or what. But honestly, they're very horribly defeated, but they don't realize it. Any impartial moderator and a judge will know that they have lost the debate. Nobody can actually stand in front of us and defeat us in this argument of the rtvik system. That's how we should be. That's how strongly we should be convinced in every single argument, every single nuance of the arguments that come. We have to be extremely ready. Not just to combat, to first of all strengthen our own conviction, and then to combat, and then to convince others. So we have to know our stuff. So here, you see, invented their own ways of understanding. And again, I'll highlight the same point. Now, all these are apasampradayas, right? Why did Bhaktivinoda Thakur take such effort to categorize apasampradayas which have deviated? We can just say, this is the Mahamantras which are given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we have to follow that, and everything else is adharma or apasampradaya. He could have just, lumped them all together, right? I will only be concerned with what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said. Why was he concerned with categorizing the deviations into 13 divisions and giving them names and describing the characteristics of each and every one in detail? What is Aula? What is Baula? What is Karta Bhaja? What is Neda? What is Darvesh, Saniya, Sahajya, Sakhi Bheki, Smarta, Jatagosai, Attivadi, Chudadhari, and Gauranga Nagari? Each of them, he defined them and gave them each a name. Look at this. Again, same point. Why did he categorized the deviated sampradayas? Why should he even be worried? No, we should just be worried about the 4 sampradayas and the authorized disciplic succession. We should not be worried about, the others. But he took such great efforts to even name them and define them and condemn them. Why? Why did he meditate so much on the apasampradayas? To save us. That's why we have to in detail understand even adharma. Otherwise, adharma, Maya is very strong. If we are unable to deeply understand adharma from the perspective of Krishna consciousness, okay, always through Shastra Chakshusha, not going and studying adharma independently. No, then we will be a part of adharma. If we do not see sharply these things, then adharma will come in the garb of dharma and we will not be able to identify it. Unless we are very sharp in our vision, we will not be able to identify the subtle ways in which Maya works, the pernicious, insidious ways in which Maya infiltrates our consciousness and takes over without us even realizing. It's the most dangerous thing. The most dangerous thing is when adharma comes in the garb of dharma. That's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, what did he say? Regarding Buddhists and the Mayavadis. Madhya 6.168. Veda na maniya Bauddha hoita nastik. Vedashraya nastikyavad Bauddho ke adhik. Very, very important. And this is the reason why we should understand it in detail. Adharma in detail. The Buddhists do not recognize the authority of the Vedas. Therefore, they are considered agnostics. It's easier to spot an atheist when he says that I do not believe in God. Okay, he's at least honest about it. However, those who have taken shelter of the Vedic scriptures yet preach agnosticism in accordance with the Mayavad philosophy are certainly more dangerous than the Buddhists. How can they be more Buddhist when they take shelter of the Vedic scriptures? They are at least studying the Vedic scriptures now. Whereas the Buddhists are saying we don't study the Vedic scripture, we don't believe in Veda. Vedana Manya. But these are at least following the Vedas. So they must be at least better off, right? No, they're more dangerous. So this is why we have to understand adharma and dharma very, very, very clearly and minutely, so that we stay away from it and ourselves. And as an institution, we can protect the institution from these infiltrations. Because in the beginning of devotional service, I will have to be concerned about my own devotional progress, where I should not fall victim to these apasampradayas or adharmic principles in the garb of religion. I should watch out for those devotional creepers that, if I'm wanting to be praised, if I don't want to be known as anything lesser, or if another devotee does better service than me, all those things, I have to guard myself against such feelings, right? But then, as we grow and become more responsible in seva, we have to ensure that other devotees don't fall into these traps. We have to look out for other devotees. Hey, that is wrong what you're doing. Even though that devotee may not like this person for correcting him, but he has to do this. That's the only way the compassion is, extended. So we have to correct others. And if we are unable to distinguish between what is Krishna consciousness and even the slightest deviation, we should be able to see that and immediately correct course. Course correction has to happen. So for ourselves and for others as well. Just like as a child, we are taught traffic rules. When you cross the road, you look left and look right, and depending on which country you are, so you have to cross the road like that, and hold the hand of somebody elders. They will teach this when we're very small children. But when one grows up and becomes a parent, now he not only has to see himself, but also has to, take his children and teach the children now how to cross the road. And if he's a school teacher, then he or she has to, teach the school children how to do it. So he has to be responsible for others' safety as well. That's responsibility. So unless we are very, very clear about it with logical argument, and because when you say something to a child, he may accept, but to an adult, because when we're preaching with adults, preaching to adults mostly. So adults will not just accept, they will ask questions. And then if we can't give them answer, they will, he doesn't know his stuff, so why should I believe him? So we have to know our stuff. Not just to impress them or something. We have to know for ourselves first. How seriously am I taking Krishna's instructions? That is important. Then I can inspire others to take it seriously, right? So he's saying here, don't become impudent and don't become independent. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying. That's why we should not introduce new things. Prabhupada also gave us, these things, all these rules. We should not introduce anything new. Just follow, and we'll be all right. The moment we change, everything will go. That's the beginning of downfall. We should not change anything. You see, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself indicates herein that all such attempts would simply spoil the spirit of his cult. And ISKCON, this is happening rampantly at this point. They don't even realize. I don't know, some people realize, but it's becoming, the rot is spreading everywhere. And all devotees, there are many social media heroes. like Shah Rukh Khan, and some are like motivational speakers, some are all sorts of flavors of devotees are so-called devotees are coming up, and gurus are unable to do anything. And the gurus themselves are horribly cheating people. So anyway, we have to understand all these things. दश दिखे कोटि कोटि लोक है न काले जय कृष्ण चैतन्य बोले करे कोलाहले. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was apparently in an angry mood and chastising his devotees, many thousands of people outside loudly cried in a tumultuous voice, "All glories to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu! जय जय महाप्रभु व्रजेंद्र कुमार जगत तारिते प्रभु तुम्हारा अवतार." All the people began to call very loudly, "All glories to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is the son of Nanda Maharaj. Now you have appeared in order to deliver the whole world." Incidentally, today morning in the before Bhagavatam class, we sang the song Jai Jai Jagannatha Sachiranandan, and in the last line it is said Jai Gaura Shai Krishna Shai Jagannath. So we sang the same thing. So of course here, although they were asking, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was asking them not to deviate, then they were even more, glorifying him, because their point is to establish him as a Supreme Personality of Godhead, and they were right about it. So it is something that is, this is the mood between devotee and the Lord. So even if the Lord wants to hide, he cannot hide from his devotees. That is explained in this verse. So there are both sides, there are lessons here, that we should not do anything independently, we should follow his instruction. At the same time, we should understand that he is Supreme Personality of Godhead, and we should propagate that all over the world, that he is Krishna himself. उल्लंघित त्रिविध सीम समातिशायि संभावनं तव परिव्रढिम स्वभावम् माया बलेन भवतापि निगुह्यमानम् पश्यन्ति केचिदनिशं त्वदनन्य भावाः. O my Lord, everything within the material world is limited by time, space, and thought. Your characteristics, however, are unequaled and unsurpassed, and are always Your characteristics, however, being unequaled and unsurpassed, are always transcendental to such limitations. You sometimes cover such characteristics by your own energy, but nevertheless, your unalloyed devotees are always able to see you under all circumstances. See? Even if the Lord wants to hide, he cannot hide from the devotees. Whereas the non-devotees, even if they want to see him, they cannot see him. He's always hidden. Although he's everywhere in every nook and corner of his creation, even in the atoms, but they cannot see him. But to the devotees, even if he wants to hide, he cannot hide. बहुदूर होते आयनो होया बड़ आर्त दर्शन दिया प्रभु करो कृतार्थ. O Lord, we are very unhappy. We have come a long distance to see you. Please be merciful and show us your favor. Shuniya loker dainya dravila hridoy bahire asi darshan dila doyamoy. When the Lord heard the humble petition made by the people, his heart softened. Being very merciful, he immediately came out and gave audience to all of them. बाहुतुली बोले प्रभु बोलो हरि हरि उठिलो श्री हरि ध्वनि चतुर्दिक भरी. Bahutuli means raising one's hands. Bahutuli. Bahutuli bole Prabhu bolo Hari Hari Uthilo Shri Hari Dhvani Chaturdik Bhari. Raising his arms, the Lord asked everyone to chant loudly the vibration of the holy name of Lord Hari. There immediately arose a great stir, and the vibration of Hari filled all directions. So sometimes devotees in the kirtan, they don't raise their hands. Bahutuli. You should raise hands. That's how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you see Gaurnita, they're always like that. So we should participate in the kirtan nicely, not that reserved, like this. Hare Krishna, like that. What kind of kirtan is that? Naturally dance and raise hands like that. प्रभु देखी प्रेम प्रभु देखी प्रेमे लोक आनंदित मन प्रभु के ईश्वर बोले करो ये स्तवन. Seeing the Lord, everyone became joyful out of love. Everyone accepted the Lord as the supreme and thus they offered their prayers. स्तव सुनि प्रभु के कहे न श्रीनिवास घरे गुप्त हाओ के ने बाहिरे प्रकाश. While the people were offering their prayers unto the Lord, Srivas Thakur sarcastically said to the Lord, "At home you want to be covered, why have you exposed yourself outside?" You know, Srivas Angan, in the beginning of the Sankirtan movement, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was doing it all hush hush, hidden. It was not open for everyone. I think that's the reason why. So in Navadvip, he was hidden, and here he is like, outside and everything. He's accepting these praises that he's the Supreme Lord. So Srivas Thakur sarcastically said to the Lord, "At home you wanted to be covered, why have you exposed yourself outside?" के शिखाइला ए लोके कहे कौन बात यहाँ सबार मुख ढाक दिया निज हाथ. Srivas Thakur continued, "Who has taught these people? What are they saying? Now you can cover their mouths with your own hand." सूर्य जय छे उदय करे चाहे लुकायते बुझिते ना पारित छे तुम्हारे चरिते. It is as if the sun after rising wanted to hide itself. We cannot understand such characteristics in your behavior. He is he is sarcastically, it sounds like insulting him and rebuking him, but actually he's glorifying him. It is as if the sun after rising wanted to hide itself. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu already came here, he is Supreme Personality, but he wants to hide himself and show that he's not supreme. It's like the sun rising and the sun wants to cover. I have not risen. I'm not. I don't exist. Everybody can see only because of the sun. They can see the sun and they can see the whole world only because of the sun. And the sun now wants to hide. How can it happen? For the devotee, the Lord cannot hide himself from his devotee. सूर्य जैसे उदय करे चाहे लुकायते बुझिते ना पारे तैसे तुम्हारा चरित्र. It is as if the sun after rising on the hide itself. We cannot understand such characteristics in your behavior. प्रभु को है न श्रीनिवास छाड़ा विडंबना सबे मेली करो मोर कतेक लांछना. The Lord replied, "My dear Srinivas, please stop joking. You have all combined together to humiliate me in this way." एट बोली लोके करे शुभ दृष्टि दान अभ्यंतरे गेला लोकेर पूर्ण होइलो काम. Thus speaking, the Lord entered his room after glancing auspiciously upon the people out of charity. In this way, the desires of the people were completely fulfilled. रघुनाथ दास नित्यानंद पाशे गेला चिड़ा दधि महोत्सव ताहाय करिला. At this time, Raghunath Das approached Sri Nityananda Prabhu and according to his order prepared a feast and distributed prasadam composed of chipped rice and yogurt, chida dahi. Purport. There is a special preparation in Bengal wherein chipped rice is mixed with yogurt and sometimes with sandesh and mango. It is a very palatable food offered to the deity and then distributed to the public. Raghunath Das Goswami was a householder at this time. Raghunath Das Goswami, who was a householder at this time, met Nityananda Prabhu. According to his advice, he executed this festival of Dadhi Chida Prasad. तार आज्ञा लया गेला प्रभुर चरणे प्रभु तारे समर्पिला स्वरूपेर स्थाने. Later, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami left home and took shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Jagannath Puri. At that time, the Lord received him and placed him under the care of Swarup Damodar for spiritual enlightenment. Purport. In this regard, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami writes Vilap in Vilapa Kusumanjali. What? 1.284. यो मां दुस्तरगेह निर्जलमहा कोपादपारक्लमात् सद्यः सान्द्रदयाम्बुधिः प्रकृतितः स्वैरीकृपारज्जुभिः उद्धृत्यात्मसरोजनिन्दिचरण प्रान्तं प्रपद्य स्वयं श्रीदामोदरसाच्चकारतमहं चैतन्यचन्द्रं भजे. Let me offer my respectful obeisances under the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who by his unreserved mercy kindly saved me from household life, which is exactly like a blind well without water, and placed me in the ocean of transcendental joy under the care of Swarup Damodar Goswami. Beautiful verse. What a beautiful verse. Brahmananda. Let me actually note that verse down because it's a beautiful verse. ब्रह्मानंद भारतीर घुचाइलो चरमांबर এইমত লীলা কইল ছয় বৎসর 6 years. Later, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stopped Brahmananda Bharati's habit of wearing deer skin. The Lord thus enjoyed his pastimes continuously for 6 years, experiencing varieties of transcendental bliss. এইটা কহিল মধ্য লীলার সূত্রগণ শেষ দ্বাদশ বৎসরের শুনো বিবরণ. I have thus given a synopsis of the Madhya Leela. Now please hear the pastimes of the Lord performed during the last 12 years. So, although it is said like Madhya Leela, it is already said before, right? Madhya Leela. So what is this again, Madhya Leela? In the Antya Leela, the first 6 years are with, still with devotees. But the last 12 years, out of the 18 years of the Antya Leela, the first 6 years are still, although he's in Jagannath Puri, people used to come and all that. After that, the people came, but the intensity of the Lord's Mahabhav increased and increased and increased unlimitedly. And he became more and more like a madman. And so that is the subject of probably the next chapter. I think that's how it is. So purport. Thus, Srila Kaviraj Goswami, strictly following in the footsteps of Sri Vyasadeva, gives us synopsis of the Leelas of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. He has given such a description at the end of each canto. In the Adi Leela, he outlined the pastimes of the Lord in the 5 stages of boyhood, leaving the details of the description to Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur. Now in this chapter, the pastimes that took place at the end of the Lord's life are summarized. These are described in the Madhya Leela and Antya Leela. The rest of the pastimes have been described in a synopsis in the second chapter of the Madhya Leela. Okay. In this way, the author has gradually described both the Madhya Leela and the Antya Leela. Sri Rupa Raghunatha Pade Jar Ash Chaitanya Charitamrita Kohe Krishna Das. So this is his usual conclusion of every chapter. Praying at the lotus feet of Sri Rupa and Sri Raghunath, always desiring their mercy, I, Krishnadas, narrate Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, following in their footsteps. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports to Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, first chapter summarizing the later pastimes of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Alright, we did it. What is the time? 10:15. That's late. Thank you very much for your patience. We will again... okay, I think there are some questions probably. Let me see. For him who constantly meditates upon my presence within all persons, the bad tendencies of rivalry, envy, and abusiveness, along with false ego, are very quickly destroyed. Yeah. But this can only happen because we cannot have this vision in the beginning. we have to follow in the footsteps of the Acharya and follow the Vaidhi Bhakti, then we will more and more be aware of this presence of the Lord everywhere and everyone, and progressively we will become more and more uh, uh, more and more amiable, more and more humble, more congenial for the devotees. Otherwise, we will just be a pinprick for the devotees. Don't you think that Prabhupada purposely chose those 11 people because he knew they harbored the desire to become Guru? See, I don't want to speak for Prabhupada, but I mean, those were the most, I mean, those devotees were having some responsible duties in Prabhupada's movement when he was around. And he wanted them to manage, at the same time giving them the chance to kind of have that controlling tendency, just like demigods. Demigods are kind of like the GBC of Krishna in the universe, the governing. They are devotees, but they have this tendency to dominate over others, and therefore they were given these posts of demigods where they can dominate to an extent, to a great extent, and at the same time serve the Lord in that capacity as administrators of the universe. So similarly, Srila Prabhupada, not just to satisfy their dominating tendencies, domineering tendencies rather, but because they were also trained by him in managerial affairs. And so in order to give them a chance, and at the same time, hoping that they would, you know, do justice to such a responsibility. Hopefully, because Prabhupada trusted me with this responsibility, so I should do a good job now. I should give up this idea of, kind of overthrowing him. After all, if he really did not like me, he wouldn't have even given me this position. So hopefully, hoping that it would give them some sense of responsibility, but it was not to be. So that's where the things went downhill. Mahipal. ISKM and ISKCON Bangalore Group both are following Ritvik system. What is the major difference? You know what? We will actually come up with a whole written thing about this because so many people are asking. It's not to bash anyone, but there is a reason why we're separate. And I did explain it to an extent in one of my AMAM sessions, AMA Ask Me Anything sessions, which I've not been doing for very long, which I might revive sometime soon. It depends. I have other priorities right now, but I might start that back again sometime, maybe once a month or something like this. Let's see. I've not thought very strongly about it, but in one of my previous sessions, I spoke about it off the cuff, but that's not what I want to do, because when I say something like that, um, people will think that, oh, I'm just speaking because I don't like them, or I'm just envious, or something like that. So I want to bring receipts to the table, which means I want to show evidence on what is exactly the differences. Of course, we want to be together, at least from our side. They did not show that same attitude. We gave them many chances, and they always engaged in, undermining what we're trying to do. We gave them so many chances. Every time we face the same thing. So anyway, there are strong reasons why we are not together, and it's mostly from their side, and we just had come to accept it. And now we see we are not very, it's not just about ISKCON Bangalore or HKM or something. We are not very enthusiastic to cooperate with anyone simply for the sake of cooperation. It has to be built on, any cooperation or any working together should be built on following Srila Prabhupada's instructions, and it's just not limit to the Ritvik system of initiations. Just because somebody is doing Ritvik system of initiations, oh, we want to be with them. We're not so eager or desperate for cooperation at this point. We would love cooperation, but it has to be on the basis of strictly following Srila Prabhupada's instructions and not deviating even 1 inch from that. So now, in the beginning, of course, we were together, ISKCON Bangalore and ISKCON. In fact, ISKCON Bangalore, Madhu Pandit Prabhu became Ritvik because of Sundar from ISKCON. He was the one who first introduced him to this. Of course, he now doesn't say his name at all. Doesn't give him any credit. But that's how it started in 1999. 1998 or 1999, when there was a marriage that happened. I mean, one of our brahmacharis here wanted to marry, and then there was, in the matter of finding a devotee girl for him. So they contacted the Bangalore ISKCON somehow through some connections, and then that's how they went there to actually speak to them and see the girl or whatever. And in that meeting is when this thing happened, that Madhu Pandit Prabhu was introduced to the final order. At that time we were using the book called The Final Order by Krishnakant and a team of devotees, and those letters and all the documents, then he studied that and then he became convinced. And they were together for a few years, I mean at least almost a decade, better part of a decade. But after that there was weird, from Bangalore it was a bit weird, things were going a little bit off track. But then anyway, we want to explain that all that in our material that we want to come out with, because just to clarify for devotees who think that what difference. With evidence. But now we're seeing that there are so many things off track. They're not following Prabhupada's instructions for these things, many things. And it's concerning. We don't want to be associated with anything like that. Even if they wanted cooperation, we would not be as eager at this point, because we don't want to be associated with the movement that, changes so many things in the Prabhupada's movement, in the way the preaching is done and the way the operations are done. Just to get mundane popularity, I should not compromise on the order of the spiritual master. So things like that have been happening. So we're not very eager at this point, unless things, of course, change and they follow nicely Prabhupada's instructions. And as it is, and the mood that Prabhupada had, that same mood of preaching. Mood means you have to speak the same way, you have to do all these things the same way. I cannot say, they hide behind this thing that, Prabhupada is Prabhupada, we cannot imitate him. He spoke straight philosophy anywhere he went, and he was cut and dry, and he was just like very sharp with his, speaking, and he was direct wherever he was, whether it was a classroom, a temple lecture setting, or whether it's on a TV show. But we should not imitate Prabhupada, we should not speak the same way, we should be a little more, compromise a little bit, we have to kind of say in different ways, tweak the philosophy. No. The way we may say, of course, Prabhupada with his age and with, sannyasi, that, people will have a different respect. Of course, if I'm a young guy and I'm speaking, and people will not take me as, they may not have as much reverence. And of course, Prabhupada had so many Western disciples to show his credit. Before that, nobody listened to Prabhupada, although he was speaking the truth. But he never really changed, even at that time. And if we have to say the same thing. We can say in a humble way, we can say in a different way, we can say with a smile on our face, but we have to say the same thing. Message cannot change. We have to repeat. Prabhupada said we have to repeat. We have to hear from the spiritual master and repeat. Don't do anything different. And not only when we're saying, even when we're doing. So there are so many things that are not happening the way Prabhupada wanted in ISKCON Bangalore and the HKM as a whole. And therefore, in fact, they themselves did not want to cooperate with us for whatever reason. We do not understand. But that's what they want. And now, it's this way. It's sad. It's sad. Are we happy with that? Not really. But we are happy to follow Prabhupada's instructions. And we will be with those who will want to follow Prabhupada's instructions. They can be in ISKM, and then they can take the the guidance, and then they can do the same thing. We may be small at this point, ISK, but we want to be following the strict standards. That's where we want to be. So, so anyway, when the material comes out, you have to just wait for a while for that to come out. Hopefully sooner than later, because we don't want to really create a big hoo-ha about it. But when people ask, we have to have an answer, and we don't want to like beat around the bush and like give a whole roundabout thing and not address the issues just to oh, they're ethics after all, we should not really condemn them or kind of call them out or something. No, I mean, it's difficult to deal with that. It's much easier to be just honest and straight on the face. But I can do that now. I can actually say everything that I want to say, but I have to gather all that screenshots and evidence and this and that, so I don't have all that ready. Why we say what we say, and that's why I prefer to hold myself now and then release that with evidence, so that whatever I'm saying is not just because I just hate them or I don't like their face or something like that. Not at all. I really hope they come back to following Srila Prabhupada's instructions properly and cooperating with Vaishnavas the way it should be done. At this point, it's not at that stage, so it's what it is. Apparently, there have been so many murders in the Krishna Balram Mandir that the locals just pretend not to notice anything. They're silenced with money. I don't know about Krishna Balram Mandir, but there have been a lot of scandals everywhere. Mayapur, there have been murders. Vrindavan, there have been murders. Yeah, it's all a shady business going on actually behind the scenes. But they maintain a facade of a spiritual organization. But when you dig deep, it's shady. So what should we say to people who bring up the excuse of the ninth offense, that it's pointless to preach to the faithless? So I know where you asked this, in which context you asked, because I said we should speak the truth, when we go to a place where acts of impropriety are concerned. But, talking about this is in the context of people who have not only preaching to the faithless is different. They are coming to Krishna consciousness. They are having some faith. They have come with that faith, and now they are misled, and they are now in a place where they are going against. That's not preaching to the faithless. That is trying to restore what they actually surrendered their lives for. What did you surrender your life for? So I'm just reminding you of that. So that excuses cannot be given here. 10.13.3 Spiritual masters explain to a submissive disciple even subject matters that are very confidential and difficult to understand. That's interesting. 10.13.3. Let's see what is 10.13.3. Snigdhasya shishyasya guravo guhyamapyuta. It's a very important point actually. That's a very nice verse. शृणुष्वावहितो राजन् अपि गुह्यं वदामि ते ब्रूयः स्निग्धस्य शिष्यस्य गुरवो गुह्यमप्युत. O king, kindly hear me with great attention. Although the activities of the Supreme Lord are very confidential, no ordinary man being able to understand them, I shall speak about them to you, for spiritual masters explain to a submissive disciple even subject matters that are very confidential and difficult to understand. Good. That's a very good verse, very nice verse. Preaching is the best service to the Lord. The Lord will immediately be extremely satisfied with one who engages in the service of preaching Krishna consciousness. Yes. Soon the ISKM website will be back. Yes. We are working on that. Just started work on that. It will be up soon. At least the MVP will be up. That means minimum viable product. The minimum contents of the website will be up soon, and then eventually it will be in phases, be populated more and more, and hopefully it will, not hopefully, Krishna willing it, that's the whole mission, that to make it serve our ISKM's mission online. So we want to do that. All right, so that's where we stop. Thank you very much. At least we finished the first chapter of the Madhya Lila now. Hopefully we can do, that means we have done what, 70 verses, almost 69 verses today. Many of them do not have purpose. So all right, I'll stop it here. Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai, Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Guru Vaishnavas ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.